On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, what is this, some kind of new Yamataikoku? And also, JP wants you to clear Lost Belt 4 as well. All this and more. Hello, I am one of your hosts. I am Omega, and I am too tired to think of a funny nickname for me. With me as always, I wanted to say the man, the myth, the legend, but I'm like, no, I've definitely called Lucky that before.
No, it is me, your Lucky Rabbit Prime. It's Lucky. And I do just want to say, I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka an Oracle of Darkness. And while we here at Studio Make like to bring you the latest NetGeo-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EA version of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers should know the proper etiquette for a tea ceremony.
I'm not actually sure what the full proper vibe for tea ceremony is.
It's something. Like, there's specific ways, like, that the tea gets passed around, specific ways how you, like, pick up the bowl.
Yeah.
You know, specific ways you interact with the napkin.
I do know a few things about, like, you know, when placing the cups, you hold them one way, but when you're drinking, you hold them another.
Yeah, like, you're supposed to, like, because you all share, like, one bowl, and it gets passed around, so every time it gets passed around, you have to specifically turn it, like, a quarter one direction. But it's, like, a specific direction, and I'm just like,
Which is very funny to me, because considering that a lot of this goes to, like, Riku invented most of these trends anyway, he doesn't really seem like the kind of guy to care that much about, like, the rotation. He was the guy who was like, hey, here's what we're gonna do. You know where you should drink tea? Outside, in the garden. I've built you a tea shack. Sit in the shack, drink your tea. Look at the flowers.
Well, yeah, no, Riku, like, pioneered a bunch of the tea ceremony things, but I think a lot of the etiquette was just so you can get the maximum enjoyment out of the tea, which is something that Senno Riku definitely was about. It's actually, so yes, no, I don't think Senno Riku was, like, particular about the etiquette, but he definitely had a specific way he wanted people to enjoy his tea.
So much so that he invented several new tools which are still in use today.
Yes.
All this and more, well, not all of this and more, but some of this and more in The Wanted. You should go watch it. Actually, I'm a little saddened. I kind of expected it, but despite the spookology, Riku is not a huge hitter on Wanted. We've gone down to pre-summer and anniversary levels again. Sedge.
That'll be.
Well, you should check it out. Anyway, I may talk about that some more later. But before we go too much further, I would like to run through our usual run of start of show business. First of all, I would like to shout out all our patrons, but especially Adam DeHart, Blacklist OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JDV9000, Justify, Kaiser, Cristarle, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kester, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Charvor, Some Guy Named Bob, and Varian the Crow. If you like what we do and see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. Get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies. I have remembered to put up the Offensive and Friday poll. The Failed Betrayal poll will be up later. It's slightly my bad because I could have been herding cats earlier, but I have to get other people's feedback on that one before I can throw that up. But we're cooking along. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. I double-checked my Patreon credits today, so everything should be goodsies. Nexties. I don't know why we're adding ease to words now. I guess that's just what we're doing today.
It's the internet. It's fine. We can say whatever we want.
Once again, I would like to reiterate, I've watched both, my favorite term, flesh tubers and VTubers, and we probably do not need to be as hinged as we are. Quite a few of those people say some crazy shit, but I also don't think we need to break down into videos talking about the bussy and stuff.
Listen, I'm not popular enough, nor I'm not popular enough, nor I have big enough boobs just to say whatever I want, okay?
Fair enough. But our next segment in the show intro is Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, a regular segment for pro tips.
Actually, I'm going to pause you there, Omega, because you said you were going to put a warning at the beginning, and you never did, so we might have been blowing out people's ears, and they have no idea why.
Probably not, other than the intro, looking at the sound, but you are right. That is not the next line of business, but I should say that. We do occasionally get comments on the YouTube that the version of the show that gets uploaded there is a little quiet. So I'm gonna do a test. Normally, I normalize the audio in Audacity, which should make highs lower and raise lowers up, but I mentioned this before we started, that it tends to prefer to make softer overall when there are big noises. So that means that our low-down noises like this one are smaller, they're softer. So I'm going to experiment with not doing that and see if it sounds louder to people, or if it sounds too loud. Let me know what you think of the audio quality of this in the comments, if you please. This is not actually like me just trying to shake you to get more engagement out. Like, genuinely, I do not know whether to fix it or if it's fixed if you don't get feedback. Thank you. Our live patrons will probably not notice any difference, but we'll see how the finished audio is. But yes, I will now play an audio insert, which is completely divorced from the sound of how loud I am.
1 second. I know I'm interrupting you again.
No, go for
but Robin already says in our chat that you can get bigger boobs. I'm like, I don't know. I already know of one bunny boy who has really big boobs. I can't remember their actual name, but they were created by Cake of Cassie fame. Like, I don't know, man.
I mean, I think there's a niche out there. I know for a fact there are some like, obviously there are what we may think of as, cross-playing VTubers, but there's at least one I know of, Joel Porcelain Maid, is just like, nah, hey man, I'm a dude, I'm Joel, but look at my, cute porcelain maid doll avatar. You could truly do anything in this space.
It's true. If I ever get enough money, I will totally get a VTuber rig, but I think I would probably start with a male, and I just have a female one for special occasions.
Hey, you can do that one too. There's anything. I've seen people be like spooky skeletons, teddy bears, anything. You could just be the formless, shapeless Tirabit goop with like some.
Oh no,
some
the formless,
flaps.
Tirabit goop is gonna be the chat.
Yeah. Not that I must become Clive. Careful.
I can't.
I think Lucky would need to go back in time and get some steroids to be Clive. That man's huge. His shoulders are so enormous, everybody. Anyway, right. It's fine. This is what we do with our live patrons. You don't have to be at our listening live level to access our Patreon chat, but you can follow along for any amount of the cash and see these kinds of comments. And this is why having a higher level Patreon is technically an incentive, because you get to be part of this derailing nonsense. It's fine. The episode is gonna be weird anyway. I don't know if you picked it up. I'm a little sleepy. That's why I forgot the thing I said I was gonna do. I'm tired. My tummy hurt this morning, so I did not eat a good breakfast, so I'm still sleepy, even though I've had a, full-ass dinner.
We are probably not playing Civ tonight.
No, maybe tomorrow. Actually, I don't even know what Aaron's doing today anyway. But yeah, so, we're in the tired phase. Also, the FGO news is pretty limited, though we do have a new event to give some first impressions on. And we got a decent mailbag. But yeah, we're having a funny time. I think I don't remember if it was on a stream where you stepped away, or I may have just been killing time on a fail betrayal or something. I talked about my ideal joke for a VTuber avatar is that I would get a cute anime girl avatar, but then she would be holding a cursed sword, and I would be the cursed sword.
That's actually pretty cool.
So, that would be where the live 2D tracking, and I would just be like, oh, this chick, she's just holding me. She just picked up the wrong sword, man. Because, like I said, you could truly do anything with a little live 2D rigging. Sorry, it's hot in here. I think the AC hasn't kicked on. We'll drink some water. And then we'll do check in with everybody's favorite kohai. It's okay. The pro tip isn't that important this week either. But let me play my MASH sound clip.
Senpai! 起きてください!
Because it is indeed now finally time for Wake the Fuck Up Sound Here pro tips, about 10 minutes into the raw recording, so I can definitely say the F-bomb. This is just the thing I usually like to caution people, because, we got a couple people in our Discord and our other parts of our community who are like, the event is like literally 3 days old, and they're like, is it bad I haven't started the event yet? And I'm like, no, take your time. As of the time of recording this, actually, I think I'm doing future math, so it's like when this will go live. You're going to have like 15 days left in the event. I think it's like actually, literally right now, like says 16 days, which is also more like 17 days. So you got like a whole half month to do the whole thing, So not really a rush anymore.
Lucky's gonna, play devil's advocate, I say, and say, don't think that means that you should wait to the very last minute to get it done, though.
No, that should be next week's pro tip, which is like, hey, you still got like 10 days to finish this event, but you haven't started yet? Maybe you should. We'll see if I remember to do that in a week. But like, the beauty of having 3-week events now is that you do have a little more time to reason it out. So
yeah,
I know some people who will still go crazy and have historically gone crazy, and like they're immediately done with like all their farming 3 days in. Well, then you don't got anything to do for the rest of the 2 weeks, or the 3 weeks. So you got a long time span. So you can actually, like, not worry about if you're super behind right now. Worry about being super behind later. But that means we can move on to Records to the Throne, a regular achievement topic. This one's going to be funny for y'all. We got some funny stories this week. Because I just want to say, I want to start off, or this a few days ago, Chance is weird. People at home, listeners, chatters, etc. I had like 20 tickets saved up. I haven't been spending tickets since summer wrapped, I think, and I got it, everybody. I decided I would do my usual move and, throw some CE luck tickets. Anyway, so I got Yaminami and Rikyu, but no 5-star CE. So, we're cooking. It's just I'm very surprised. I did like blow through all 20 of my tickets and, get the extra 10s, but it do be how it be. And so we're continuing on. Also, I have advanced far enough and gotten enough EXPs to fully protect temporary EO's smile. Thank you, double EXP.
Great. On Lucky's end, I'm actually very much in the same boat, but there is a divergent point here. You'll see it when it comes. So I also had 20 tickets, and I decided to throw them, even though I said I wouldn't, because Lucky is a liar, and you should not believe anything he says. But I did throw them out, and I did get me a copy of Yaminami and the 3 and 4-star CEs. Nothing else. And then I said, Lucky, you got a $50 Google Play gift card for your birthday. And you just got Patreon money. What you should do is, you should buy some Saint Courts.
They got him.
And then, other Lucky who said, no, Lucky, don't. You need to save. Tiamat's coming next year. You want her. You know you want her. And then third Lucky said, hey, boy, I bet you can get them both. And then Lucky was just all like, shit, I can.
Third Lucky just doing the fucking Kermit Palpatine meme.
Do it. And so I did it. I bought me a big pack, and I got a min spin. And then I got another min spin. Yeah, no, it was bad. And then I got an okay roll. There was a Yamanami. And then I got a normal lucky roll where I got like 2 SRs that I didn't even need, like in like 6 CEs. And I was like, yeah, that's normal for me. There was another Yamanami in that one as well. So up to MB3 Yamanami, by the way. And then my 5th roll, I actually posted it earlier in the Patreon chat for people to see. But I actually got 2 Rikyus, 1 pool. And I was like, yay. So I'm actually starting with a little bit more quartz than I began with. I believe I had 150 when I started. Now I'm at 167. So yay. But yeah. So unfortunately, my YOLO rolling has been vindicated, and this clearly means that I should be able to do it again at a later date. Clearly. Nothing will go wrong. So actually, technically, I did not burn my Soul's Fire because this was Patreon money. Soul's Fire is when I pull out the credit card. But so with that, so this is normally the part where I tell you how I protected everyone's frickin' smiles, but unfortunately that didn't happen. We're gonna. Well, actually, I will say I did protect some smile out, but Charlie and EO's level max. They are good, but not all the world's evil, but damn close. Here we are, me with brand new servant, and a few other servants I haven't get to level because of hero proofs. Fortunately, this month's ticket item is hero proofs, and there was 30 of them in the shop. I already bought them all, and I've thrown all my tickets at that, and it was only enough to get Charlie to 90. That's it. Hey, guess who else needs hero proofs? It's Shinshin Gumi motherfucking Yamanami. Ugh. Not to mention, I still have Diamut and Roland to level. Why are you doing this to me? Why? Sen no Rikyu hasn't been leveled because I don't have enough lamps, but there's lamps in the shop, so I'm not that concerned.
Also, Sen's problem's gonna come with skills. Motherfucker needing 72 Twilight Ashes per skill. Crazy talk.
Crazy. Why are you doing this to me? You hate me?
Yes, drink your tea. Forced to drink
that does
tea
sound very
like
like
hands.
I am pretty sure Sen no Rikyu said that to Hideyoshi at one point. Like, do you hate me? Yes, and I'll drink your tea.
So I did actually go through some of this on the one, and I did not read out the list, but like I found a list that started on like the Japanese version of Wikipedia for Sen no Rikyu, which was just like all the leading theories why Sen no Rikyu was ordered to commit seppuku. Almost all of them are just told Hideyoshi, lol, no. to something.
Yeah,
Whether it was like rebuilding a temple gate, not letting Hideyoshi marry Riku's daughter, or just like serving tea to the wrong people. So general historical opinion seems to be that Riku was just that kind of guy. He was just like, nah, man, it's about tea. I don't care about any of that other shit.
Well, listen, I know that Hideyoshi's one of the three great unifier, but also he was kind of a creepy tyrant.
Yeah, if I'm remembering some of my history, I think the problem was he was kind of a paranoid dick about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, Nobunaga was very much whatever the reverse of image obsessed is, of just like, nah, man, I don't care if I'm the fucking Demon King. I'm gonna unify all Japan. Fuck you. I'll buy guns. You think guns aren't rad? But it's interesting to see everybody's different levels, and we'll probably have some more thoughts about some of those guys from that later period when we talk about first impressions, because I think this event is very well handled. But yeah, no, it's not surprising given the I think the historicalness and the mythology around the Toyotomi.
Yeah.
But yeah, motherfucking hero proofs.
Motherfucking hero proofs.
I have spent a few, but I think I still have like 300-ish, which is like normal high amounts of mats. The problem is if I get hip deep in somebody's skills, that'll just go away.
Actually, have there... Yeah, fucking bronze mats and FBMs. Fucking bronze mats.
My favorite Call of Duty multiplayer tag.
But like I haven't even checked skills yet. I've just been working on, because that's my main focus right now on all my servers, is getting them all max level, and then slowly but surely I can start working on everyone's skills so they're at the same general level of where I use them. And I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that skill grind. I'm really not.
Bad. It is
bad.
I do spend some of my hero proofs to cap out a few of my stuff. I guess I can say about this now because we're still in the vague period of talking about the game and stuff and updates. I did not have my Lancer Ryoma's battery skill all the way leveled. Like 6. It was respectable, but had to get in there and max that out to 10, which took some proofs and stuff. Because
proofs and stuff.
Well, I really need him to loop guys because I think the mobs are pretty simple, but man, some of them do not want to get looped. And some of this farming can get in the weeds a little. Some of these guys have big HP pools, and I kind of feel like our damage bonus spread is not quite enough. Well,
this is why I'm blasting everything with Summer Ibuki. She's doing the work. Yeah, I think the only problem I had was on the first node, because that was like Berserkers, and Berserker on Berserker damage ain't the best.
No, Berserkers have the lower down NP gain. That was why I had to increase my battery to pad myself out. Actually, one of the newer nodes was Berserkers, and I'm like, shit, this ain't working, Chief.
Yeah. But other than that, Summer Buki's doing the work. I really should probably consider getting her even higher in the levels.
But that was, I think, to my point where I'm like, man, we either need to like open up the damage bonus levels, or we need to give them some extra something, because like I could probably be farming this more efficiently, and at one point was farming, I think a Lancer node was the best node of the day, with like double Castoria Muramasa more efficiently than actually using bonus servants, because I was just like, the damage output, it's crazy. Looping, it works. Muramasa, based. Thank you, I appreciate this. That's not quite what I was thinking with the edit, but this is way funnier. EU is max level, and I think I got some NP copies. I should try that.
Lucky keeps telling himself he needs to get back to doing art, but I like having 2 monitors, and I don't know if I can go back to 1 monitor. I feel like it'd be very hard.
But yeah, so the next spot of the show structure, yes, this show has structure, how dare you, is did you finish your master missions? That's right, we'll do that one next so we can keep moving on in an orderly fashion. I said orderly in italics there, chat. But did you finish your master missions? Very straightforward this week. You need to obtain 15, then 30 EXPs as drops, specifically as drops. Buying them in the store doesn't count. Defeat 5 and then 10 servants. Defeat 15 enemies with the Heaven attribute, and defeat 15 enemies with the Humanoid trait. So, do the event. I think the only one that might be a little difficult is the EXP drops. You may have to go to specific nodes for that kind of stuff, but everything else should be easily cleared by doing the event. And that means it's time for Skelograms, such as they are. We do actually have a couple of JP updates. It's not yet time for the second bit of the new audio call, but we have a couple of lead-ups to that. First of all, Lost World number 4, Clear Support Campaign, basically running this entire month. Zero AP on LB4, LB4 related master missions and logins and stuff. I don't know if these are new or not, but they have recollection and super recollection quests again. I don't know if the actual quests are new, if they're the same as like the ones we just got in, Road to 7. Now, the most important part of this, well, there's two very important parts of this whole update, but one of the most important parts of this is we got a Rama rank up out of nowhere, which upgrades Curse of Separation to something like Promise of Reuniting. And so everybody is like, good heavens, look at the time. So everybody, watch out, be cautious. There are also some banners. Arjuna Altar is back, along with Ashwatthana and Tel, and then we've got regular Arjuna, Lakshmi, and Asclepius banners. We also got a new Mana Prism CE, which gives you a bond bonus for casters and features Da Vinci Classic. Pretty good CE, thumbs up. We also got Ordeal Call 3 Part 1 Clear Campaign / Part 2 Pre-Release Campaign. There's a lot of numbers in this.
A lot of words in general.
Yeah, basically, log in for a few days and complete some bonus master missions to clear stuff to prep for the 11th, which is when the second part comes out.
Exciting.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. It does seem like we are getting a little bit of, like, the full, hype and stuff for each drop. So, like I said, I suspect there will be banners for each part. Will they, include brand new servants each time? Don't know, but, we're cooking. And then the only actual news out of EN is the pick up 2 summon, they're calling it, for GudaGuda new Yamataikoku, even though it's like 6 summons. Actually, I'm wrong. I think it's like 8. Yeah. So basically, starting from the period of the 4th and going off and on until like the 20th, you got 3-day windows for lots of servants. I mentioned them all before, but to reiterate, if you want to go back and double check the pregame, I'm not going to stop you. But it's Mao Nobu and Berserker Nobu, Summer Nobu. That's just about to end by the time you're listening to this. You got Hijikata and Saito, and then you're going to get, in a few days, actually, no, if I'm reading this right. Sorry, the way that I kind of wish they did the charts not in a vertical, like, mobile slice format. They'd be easier to follow, but they do, so we're here. So actually, after, or around the same time as Hijikata, it should be Himiko, and then after that is Okita and Okita. Then after that one is going to be Okuni, then regular Okita Altar, then Lancer Ryoma, and then finally Old Man Lee. Summer Okitan is not included in this. And Mori Nagiyoshi is on rate up on all of these. So if you are somehow not maxed out on that, take a swing. Fire wildly, everybody. So yeah, it's basically literally every GudaGuda 5-star, I think, except, no Summer Okitan, because there's no crossover there. But the 4-star Summers are in. It's wild. But that is, Skelograms and all of our dues.
Yeah. So, with that, it is time for this week's Let's Talk XGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. Let me just roll on over here and do a double check. Refresh. The rabbit has sung. And we're up to 9 lovely comments. And we'll get through all of them. Yeah. So this first one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes. Wah 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 wah. And wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Same to you. Glad for your comment every week. I do want to point out that there is actually a bit of a goof up here this week. Apparently last week I might have accidentally deleted the mailbag ahead of time and not put up the new one. So my format for the old mailbag is gone. So I had to come up with something else on the spot. So the rules are much more condensed and I think seems a little bit more friendly. So that is fun. But with that, let's move on to the next one, which is... this next one comes from Nobu is the most Oda Nobunaga of them all. This is correct. I totally picked that line when it came up. Man, Nobu, it's like you're Oda Nobunaga. Because I cannot not pick the poke fun at this event every single option I can. Question. What line from FGO that lives rent-free in your head? Line? A line.
I mean, the joke has died down a little, but I sometimes do still think of What's Up, My Homies.
I mean, for me, it's got to be back in Babylonian, Sky High Rider Justice Bomb.
Yes, classic.
Justice. It was just so out there.
The script writing team has some fun with some of the things you can pick. Yes, I also think a lot of just LB3 and ordering Spartacus to jump.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is now time to rebel. My legs to repel against gravity.
That man was all muscle. The cheese strat was also very funny, but that was mostly because Maeve turns around and does her anti-cheese kick. She's literally anti-cheese chat.
Like, sorry, I'm just trying to think of there's a lot of scenes and events that stick out in my mind. Like, I still think one of my favorite Valentines is Van Gogh's Valentine, and just so many lines from that one. At one point, Goey just kind of self-detonates, and there's an explosion in the background, and you can one of your options can just be to scream. It's like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good scenes. The lines are more individual. And usually, I think I remember the jokey ones better because they're punchier because they're literally punchlines. Just talking about taking the piss out of Nobu and GudaGuda. How many I feel like every GudaGuda event starts and we can just be choose to be like, that's just GudaGuda, man.
Is it GudaGuda time again?
Yeah, we're just like, yep.
I've also become this isn't a specific line, but I always crack a smile anytime I see the what come up.
Yeah, it's almost like the people who rate this game are good or something.
No, there's a lot of good lines here, and we'll be here forever if we try to think of them all. So I'm gonna stick with Sky High Rider Justice Bomb Justice as mine.
It is funny though to see kind of people, I guess, rediscovering since Fate Stay Night Remastered come out, and people either reading in English for the first time or reading for the first time in a long time, being like, "Oh man, this Nasu guy's good. He's cooking." Yeah, how do you think we got here for 20 years? He's always been cooking. He is the bone of the kitchen. Well, Tsukihime Remake is he did rewrite that, so that's definitely modern. But still, obviously, he's still cooking. Yes, the lines. Let us know your favorite line in the comments.
I think it just sounds like he's slightly dying.
I know, I was gonna make the joke that's coming out for me. I'm aging. No, I do have a slight headache again, because like I said, I did not eat super filling right away, but I'll be fine for the show. You will probably just hear me yawn or flinch a couple of times as I wrestle with the demons of sleep.
Oh no, the sleep paralysis demon. He's gonna get you. Then he's gonna get a tech deck and do a flip on your belly. So, moving on. This next one comes from a hunter hunting for keys to NPC. And they say, "Hello! What are you fighting for, Omega? And will I one day become a maverick?" Lucky. I should have gave the first one, man. No, actually, I can't, because Zero's read on that is going to live in my head in the worst way, and I don't want to make it any better. It can only be bad, and Lucky doesn't want to do that, so that's how we're gonna do it. Don't question it. It makes just as little sense to me as it does to you. So they go on to say, though, hope any rolls made towards Keisuke. I can speak Japanese. No, I can't. Don't lie to yourself. And Riku were good. But with GudaGuda banners also come more NPC for NPC hell. So I'd like to ask, out of the extended GudaGuda NPC jail, who would you like to see let out? Personally, kind of want Wolfhead Mick. I'm sorry, I like this. Wolfhead Mick Kukachiko. No, Kukachihiko. Syllables, baby.
Very long.
Yeah, Kukachihiko. Besides Edison, we don't have too many servants with that design ethos. You mean furry? But something tells me we won't be seeing him get out. Probably not. I have to check. Does he have unique attack animations for his combat part, or is that someone else's?
I think they're semi-unique. That might be based on another enemy-only sprite, but he does, I think, have a semi-unique stance. I also still want the big boy. The fact that guy still at NPC jail astounds me, because I'm pretty sure he has 3 Ascension sprites and he's mirrored and all that shit.
Who do I want out of NPC jail? I don't know really, actually. We do have a lot of NPCs, but I don't think necessarily a lot of them really stick to me. A lot of the characters that I want from the Sengoku era or the Bakufu era are characters who have all been mentioned or hinted at, but not like had any sort of actual revealing. Like, actually, did Kamo? No, not Kamo. I can't think of his name. It's not Serzo Kamo. It's the next commander. Who was it? God fucking damn! I forgot his name. Commander of the Shin.
Isami?
Kondo Asami. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Like, I like to see Kondo Asami. I'd like to see Lady Yodo. Like, we're still...
Also, they keep teasing us on that one.
Yeah. Any of the Sonata boys, specifically like Yukimura, Sung Wukong has been teased. Hell, Hideyoshi's been teased constantly. I think there is actually there's a
GudaGuda design for him.
Yeah, there's a GudaGuda design. I think there's a GudaGuda profile for him too that has like his NP and stuff.
Yeah, they'd have to do something with that, I assume. But his NP is very funny. It's like I think it's also the Castle of the Sun, but he summons it and he like lives for 7 days and then dies in Holy Grail wartime. But boy, when he's up there, he's strong. But yeah, no. I think I would also like. Is it? God, my brain's sleeping. Is it? Shibue? Cha-Cha's dad? He's been around so long. I'm like, we should let him out. And also, that would be a perfect pair to go with Lady Yodogiri. Which, once again, I'm like, they did that. Like, oh man, her spirit origin is about to change, and I want to be like, don't you threaten me with a good time. I wasn't in that scene, but that's what I would have said. But yeah, there's I think a few of the old Sengoku era guys who are still rattling around, but NPC jail is very interesting. Kokoshiko would probably need some reworking just for giving him Ascension Sprite, so it would be funny. I mean, I did warn you when I said he was a blithe looking motherfucker. Yep, no, like I said, he's appeared in the margin notes for like GudaGudas before. They've made jokes with him. He just hasn't shown up in FGO actually. I'm again not entirely sure why. Also, yes, Aggravated has been in NPC jail forever. That one I can at least understand because I don't actually know how they would build him like a servant, like the actual nuts and bolts. Like, obviously he's a guy, but they would have to figure out some stuff for him. I'm not saying they couldn't do it, but definitely I feel like historically, out of the Orkney siblings, I think FGO has done most of the obvious stuff. Gawain is a big deal. Mordred is a big deal. Gareth has a couple of core legends which are often mentioned. Agravain is important to some stuff, but he doesn't really do a lot. And poor Gaheris is like the guy who gets all of the stuff we didn't give to Gareth. They have literally not shown... Once again, I'd like to remind you, they're either twins or Gaheris is a little bit older than Gareth. Nothing. Haven't even seen that guy. I did joke, I think, about before we did the Camelot Singularity, though, that I was glad they confirmed he does exist, because technically they could have done an interpretation of the Arthurian mythos where Gaheris is so unimportant, he's just not fucking there. We just give Gareth all the things, which is funnier, actually, because I'm pretty sure in my readings, Gaheris is probably the character, the person who is older, and, they spun off some of his legends into Gareth, but Gareth is the much more popular character, so sometimes Gareth overtakes Gaheris entirely. Mythopoi is very cool, guys, but yeah, NPC jail, we'll see. There's at least one guy in this event who I'm I don't know if that guy's ever coming out of NPC jail. It would probably be funny, though, because Ishida is supposed to have owned an actual Masamune blade. It's in museums.
I mean, I will say Ishida Mitsunari has a really good design. Very feminine, though. For a while I was looking at his jacket sleeve, and I was like, "Are those breasts?" No, that's just
the same question. Yeah.
Yes. No, it's just the other sleeve of his jacket, but it was still just huh.
No, I had to be sure, but I think Dialogue did keep confirming it after a while, and I'm just okay, no, it's just I'm just seeing things. It's a guy. This is GudaGuda. Trust me. If he was a she, we would have said it already.
But also, thank you, Chad, for commiserating with me, because I'm glad I am not the only one. But no, Ishida Mitsuhide has a good design. I do like it. I would not mind getting him out of NPC jail, but also, he's kind of a stuck-up ass.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of just want to slap him around for a bit.
like I said,
Bully this man.
I do not think he's likely to come out just because of, his relationship with all the other characters, which is mostly just pissing everybody off. Hey, guess what his problem in real life was?
Yeah, we actually had a little bit of a talk about that.
I think it's very reasonable to say that he lost Sekigahara because people either liked Ieyasu better than him or just straight up couldn't decide who they hated more and just didn't. Quite a lot of the daimyo and generals were just like, nah, I'm staying out of this, man. I don't know who's gonna win. I don't care.
All right. So let us move it on. This next one comes from Procrastinator is stressed because it do be like that sometimes. But they say, I'll be facing down the consequences of my actions, or more accurately, inactions. But regardless, I hope everyone has a good weekend. I hope you take these consequences and you live and thrive from them. Take every opportunity as an opportunity to improve yourself and improve your life. And we move it on it from there. This next one comes from the Tire King having to pay a huge cardboard crack waifu tax because the character that uses them got an altar. Oh. Question. Hey guys, this week I have 2 questions. My first, as stated by my alias above, the character got an altar form, but I was wondering which is truly more expensive, waifu tax or edgy tax. Also, what is your favorite kind of tea? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. Wah 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 wah. And hope you have a great evening. P.S. I don't even think it'll be the cards, but all the other merchandise and all arts that'll do me in. It do be like that some days.
They truly do be like that.
Honestly,
I think the waifu tax is higher.
Probably, yeah.
Like, I know that people also like, because that's not just a thing that, like, Fate does, but, like, I think a lot of franchises do in gachas and multimedias of, like, it's your girl, but edgy. But I still think that the whole point there is that, it's a waifu. Not that I don't think that purely edge characters obviously can't carry. We're doing a lot of work towards Shadow the Hedgehog right now, for instance. But yeah, I think it's definitely like the waifu tax itself.
Alrighty. But let us move on it. This one comes from Agent 418, who says, "Hello, Lucky Omega. And 150 free Saint Course. I got 2 copies of everything on the banner. May your luck be this good on the next better you roll. P.S. Have a good weekend, wall. Yeah. Have a good weekend, y'all. P.S.S. That stands for post-secondary script. Last week happened to be exactly 4 years of membership, so here it is 4 more years of awesome content. Dude face. Well, thank you. Hopefully, we'll be still making stuff in 4 years, and hopefully it'll be way better quality, whatever this shit is.
Now you have that sweet purple star.
Yeah. Oh, Tyrannikin, I do remember you posting that, yeah. I have no idea who that is, though.
I have no memory of this place. I need to get I need to make a macro for Final Fantasy XIV.
Vanguard, okay.
Just me doing that, saying the Gandalf line, because I need to just... Every time I start a dungeon or trial that I don't fucking remember, I need to just push a button and be like, I have no memory of this place.
So... This next one comes from I'm Down with the Sickness. It immediately started playing in my head. How dare you do this to me? But they say, howdy, Lucky Omega. Hope y'all are doing well this week. I, on the other hand, just got sick this evening before this episode. Well, drink plenty of fluids, get some vitamin C and D in you, and rest. With Yamataikoku 2, Electric Boogaloo, now in swing, my question is to you gentlemen is, which GudaGuda has been your favorite so far? Oh, man. There's been a lot of GudaGuda, though.
Yeah.
It is a bit difficult. GudaGuda is usually... Well, I don't want to say light on story, is not necessarily hard-hitting with story, so it's kind of hard for them to...
And there are a lot of, like, recurring characters and themes. I think, personally, for me, it's a debate between either... I don't remember what that event was called, but the one that's just Nobunaga's Ambition, because that one was, like, had a fun story and also had, like, interesting mechanics of, like, moving around and taking over provinces, or is it technically Imperial Capital 2? The one with Lane Tsuruyama. Like, that one was a little more story heavy, and it was really good.
That one was really good, but I think I liked Imperial Capital Grail War, the first one, more than that one. Because that's when because it was also very solid, because, it introduced Roma. I think it was, like, one of the more serious ones.
Yeah.
And,
the Roma
so you get to
focused ones, I think, are usually.
Yeah. And we got that, evil Nobu sprite, the one with, just the gun on the shoulder, forward facing.
Yes.
I think that eventually what turned into, Demon King Nobunaga.
Probably. And I do find it interesting that I was thinking about this when we started this event, that like even when we're doing regular Nobu, it's almost always her Mao. Like canonically, she is always now Mao.
Yeah,
because it's just her first ascension sprite. Just interesting for me to catch these things and see kind of like what we do. It'll be actually interesting because I assume at some point, he's not in this story, but I'm sure Rum will pop up again. I'm gonna wonder, will they use his rider sprite or will they use his lancer sprites?
I'm sorry.
And which Lancer sprite will they use? Because, Ryoma's one of Lancer Ryoma and Oryu is one of the characters I have on shuffle because I like all of his ascensions.
Sorry, I'm just thinking when we're gonna get our GudaGuda audio call. Go into the mysteries of GudaGuda.
I mean, we may get that this year. I don't know. We still haven't. I don't believe we've had a new GudaGuda event this year. And the last one was late last year. Was still a good one though. Super Kuryoku.
But let's keep moving. This next one comes from Soul of the Light Mood Discord, who says, "Dear Lucky the Rabot and Astro Omega, no questions. Just remember to message you. I'm sorry, my record skipped there. Remember to message you both before getting to sleep for once. Good vibes and all that. Wah 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 wah. Wah 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 wah. Remember, if I say wah 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 wah, that's because someone said wah 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 in the chat and they're trying to get me to wah 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 wah. But I'm not gonna fall for it. Never. Considering we have Ranmu X, who is from the Servant Board, we should get more Guda Servant Verse stuff and just become completely unhinged.
Also, that would give me an excuse to have more Ranmu X.
Yes. We should always have excuses to have more Ranmu X. How dare that creature be that adorable?
Sorry, that made me think about story stuff. I'll circle back to that one.
Yes, can we get some Jufu and Ranmu X together content?
Oh my god, no, I don't think my heart can take it.
Yes.
Also, wait, sorry, that just gave me an even better thought, because she never fucking cameos in events. That would naturally mean that we would have to try and rope Python into a GudaGuda, which I'm not sure she's prepared for, but I would love to see.
Considering Python, she might have been kicking around somewhere during the Sengoku era.
Well, that would be a great way to do it, actually, to do like a minute singularity, and it's not even like our Python, it's just actually Yume Ren or in her like Akuta Hinako disguise, and she's just like, huh? What? Don't worry about it. I'm gonna meet you in the future. I know you're a Chinese immortal. Don't ask questions. Look at my Zhengyu merchandise. Throw her a body pillow. Sorry. Now I just want an event that would be an excuse to farm Zhengyu body pillows as a form of currency. With being the L-shaped ones too, the centaur type. Let's go. I'm right here for consulting fees.
So.
Sorry. I'm cackling because Robin said he almost spat out his coffee. That's what you get for drinking coffee while you're listening to the show, man. You never know what I'm going to say.
So our last one of the night comes from Dave on the Holy Night. And they say, I've been making my way very slowly through Witch on the Holy Night. Alice seems super OP with flat snark. But anyways, I've always been a little confused which works are connected to that timeline or whatever. The way that I always interpreted it is that Mahoyo precedes both Fate and Tsukihime timelines along with Kara no Kyokai. It basically goes Mahoyo, Kara no Kyokai, and then we hit a divergence point.
Yeah. And obviously, like, some people will be like, wait, that's not how the split works. Quiet. Yes, I know, there are different universe rules, but no, in terms of continuity, you should assume that something resembling K and K and something resembling Mahoyo happens both Fate and pre-Tsukihime, because characters that are in those are in both. Like, literally, Toko and the Shiki family are in, like, case files and further adventures of Al Meloy and stuff, so, like, yeah, they're all, like, canonical in some form.
Yeah. Like I said, you don't really need to think about it any harder than that. If someone tries to make you think harder on that, tell them to shut up.
Yes. Block the intrusive thoughts. But, like, unless it comes up, in either of those terms that we need to worry about either a true ancestor or somebody summons a heroic spirit, it doesn't actually matter which continuity we're in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and, honestly, like, strictly speaking, they're probably not even technically in the same continuities, just because I feel like Nasu and the other Type Moon writers, like, write everything is entirely self-contained unless they specifically say, hey, this is a follow-on from this. But I think there's enough crossover elements that, Lucky's correct. They're just, both of those precede any kind of timeline split, and don't ask questions any deeper, because I don't think Nasu cares. Nasu is busy feeding children.
Oh, excuse me, sorry, carbonation. It happens. But with that, we are done with the mailbag. Close that tab.
I have recording time too, so that's pretty good. Close that tab. Yes, I did. Well, that means I think it's a perfect time to move into Caldea Free Talk, because we already kind of muttered around it a little, but
yeah,
this is time for GudaGuda new Yamataikoku 2. Shin Yamataikoku. Sorry, I always, whenever anything is Shin something in Japanese, I always want to say it that way. Shin Yamataikoku.
Yeah.
But yes, first impressions. As always, I have to preface, I'm not 100% caught up on the event because of the T points, but I think I'm only like one time gate behind as of right now.
I think that's where I am too. I just unlocked Dark Sekigahara.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can talk about the early stuff because, like I cautioned at the front, I know some people are, not started on the event yet or are not very far in. Some people to make sure they make that LB4 clear.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. So we're not going to go like crazy into it, but we can talk about some of the initial stuff. I feel like, I'm trying to remember, has there been a GudaGuda event that was a dud? I don't think so, per se.
No, I think some suffered from early writing, but, well, I don't think any GudaGuda is, like, amazing, oh my god, live rent-free from my head. None of them are bad.
Yeah, they're very consistently in kind of FGO's mid-range. Like, even the very first GudaGuda was, like, setting up all the jokes that are callbacks in future GudaGudas. It was very simple, but so was just every event in the first year of FGO.
Also, they did the great thing of getting, classic Fade VAs just to make Nobu noises.
Yes.
You can't beat that. You cannot beat that.
Yeah, getting them in the studio. And the original GudaGuda also, like, obviously many of the GudaGuda jokes were from, gag 4-panel comics and stuff in Type Moon magazines previously, but the first GudaGuda did a very strong job of introducing, kind of the duo dynamic between Okita and Nobu, and that has been kind of our consistent anchor point for all these years. But yeah, so I don't think any of them have been bad, but also that means they're all generally pretty good, and so I think we have a fairly strong start. It is nice to see this one, like, immediately right out the gate be like, hey, this is a literal sequel to the last Yamataikoku, where we are straight up following up on that.
I think it's for that reason they didn't feel like they had to necessarily weigh you down with a bunch of exposition at the beginning. Literally, Little Da Vinci is just like, alright, you're here, bye! And Nobu is just like, wait, what's that? What's the explanation? And Little Da Vinci's like, what do you expect me to say?
And yeah, I think your response can be the usual, is it GudaGuda time again? It's feeling very Guda in here. And we're just like, yeah. It is kind of, I do feel kind of sad that we usually, because these kind of can take place anytime, I feel like we usually, like, leave MASH at home in the story. We even there's a future callback when you're doing a scene as well later where you could be like, if only MASH were here to blow the war conch.
That's from the second one, if I remember correctly. No, that was the third one?
Yes, destroy all Nobunagas. By the way, chat, hey, remember when people thought... Was it the fourth one? Jesus. But remember when people thought that one was going to be the last one because it was called Final GudaGuda Destroy All Nobunagas?
Oh, that was fourth one. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, sorry, that was the fourth one. There's a lot of GudaGudas. Yeah, Ryoma was the third.
Ryoma was the third one, okay.
Yeah, so...
Wait, what was the second one?
What was the second one? That was...
Because that's where we got Cha-Cha, but I can't remember the actual event around it. Yeah, that was Hijikata and Cha-Cha.
That was the Shinsengumi versus one, I think. It ended with the golden pillar. Yeah, that was you picked Team Nobu or Team Shinsengumi.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad y'all have better memories than I.
It took me a little bit to correlate the contents of my memory. As we've said, there's a lot of GudaGudas. It's usually a yearly event. Yeah, that was when because Nobukatsu was the villain. The first is just also, like, there's not a plot to that one. That one is just, you get called to the command room because there's another weird singularity shit, and it's like, Nobu's there, and it's like, hey, while I was coming to Caldea, I accidentally lost one of my stars. That's right, I'm gonna straight up admit, I've lost one of my stars, and the bit of my star rating that fell off has become all the Nobus. That's it. That's the joke. Please defeat all Nobus, and do not be Honoji'd. Thank you. But yeah, so this one is a direct follow-on, so they do not need to, like, establish the time period or anything. They're kind of, like, cruising with the understanding that you hopefully... Also, yes, no, if you didn't know, that's where the mini Nobus come from, that is canonically one of Nobunaga's SSR stars, one of her 5 stars fell off, which is why she's a 4-star welfare, and all the little bits are where at least the first batch of mini Nobus come from.
After that, I think it's the power of GudaGuda particles, but we're not entirely sure.
Yes.
We have a term called GudaGuda particles. What the fuck is going on here? No one knows.
Gudodium, yes. I mean, I love at this event when the fucking T-Nobus show up, and we're just like, where the fuck did these guys come from? And Riku is just like, I don't know, they're just lost souls. I decided to save them by giving them tea.
I'm pretty sure those are the remnants of the frickin' giant Nobu Haniwas?
Yes, I believe that is what EO or somebody does ask about. They're like, oh, are these like the leftover bits of the Nobunaga gods, the Haniwas? Those also, the Haniwa Nobus were canonically like made in the previous GudaGuda by what's his nuts, Angry Man, part of his plan. Don't you put that evil on me?
Yeah, if anyone starts like this is your one warning. If anyone starts anything with skip it anything, I'm putting you in fucking timeout for crimes against humanity.
I don't want no part of it. I don't get it. It's weird.
Like, I understand it's kind of, our new local parlance and slang, but I'm getting old, and it makes no goddamn sense to me. I'm gonna drink my tea and sit in my fucking rocking chair. 5 minutes dungeons for Robin.
5 minutes dungeon? Well, Robin called it shot, so. Anyway, but yes, no, the Nobus have a wealth of possible origins at this point. But yeah, no, so we don't feel a great need to recap heavily. When characters come back, like when we run into Yaminami, we do actually, like, talk about, like, hey, weren't you that guy in that thing with that other guy? Didn't you die? And he's like, that's right, I came back from hell. That's the subtitle.
It was me. Honestly, I feel like we have several people coming back from hell here.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the setting we're in. Like, there is a little bit of looseness to it, but the way it's explained to us when we show up is that we're kind of in, a sort of purgatory. We're in the realm between realms, where, like, souls, wait to move on to their final resting place and stuff.
Yeah, apparently Io was acting as an overworked OL, guiding souls and stuff, talking about how she just wants to get some beer after work.
Wow. Io's great, by the way, no notes.
I love you. I love her, Io. Yes, I'm so glad she's the welfare. She seems like a little bit of a girl failure, but not completely, which I'm like, yes, this is the sweet spot.
I mean, she's literally cursed, so I think it's fair. But I also like her as comparison to, like, she's kind of the foil to Himiko's characterization, whereas Himiko is like, all sunny, positive vibes, but also just like a gorilla,
Yeah, I was about to say, literally punches down a wall to get to people.
Yes, she, like, despite all of her, vast magecraft and wisdom and stuff,
violence.
Yeah, she's just like, you know how I can settle this? I cast Fist. Io's a lot more, like, gloomy. She was originally a shrine maiden for the ancestral beast god, all that kind of stuff, cursing the realm of man and whatever. And then, so she's just, the gloomy one, but she's trying real hard. She's trying her best.
I love her.
She has some great expressions, great expression sheets. But yeah, so, got some great stuff. Also, honestly, Axe making a joke about, like, FromSoft builds. I do want to say, I'm going to assume some of Io's special effects are, like, Nasu and the crew playing Elden Ring and stuff coming in, because, like, her NP is all about the Twilight Moon and stuff, and it's, very, like, that kind of, like, bright electric blue I associate with, like, Carrion Sorcery in Elden Ring. Also, I think all of her animations are pretty sick. Yeah, Elden Ring would have been out 2 years ago. It was out 2 or 3 years ago, I want to say.
Well, you guys were waiting forever for the DLC, so I have to assume.
Yeah, February of 22. So, like, about 6 months, I think, before this happened in JP. So not, like, a direct influence, but enough, especially because I'm pretty sure Nasu mentions explicitly that he took some time off to play it. I think enough that, like, the art crew who were doing the final implementation work would have been able to borrow some stuff. And yes, no, it's been over 2 years. The DLC took a long time. I mean, to briefly aside, the DLC is very funny because, like, they were just like, oh, it's just, like, one little map area. I'm fairly certain the Lands in Shadow, which is the DLC map, are, like, as big as the core game map, whether through just sheer square footage or also because of verticality and bullshit. Like, they try to underplay how huge it is, but no, it's fucking huge. It's sizable because they cheated. They're like, oh, it's only as big as Limgrave. No, it's not, guys. It's they get a lot more coverage out of it. But yeah, but no. So like, EO's great. Always a good sign, obviously, when your welfare is a character who's like immediately very dynamic and you're in there. And I think, like I said, we established some of our good yokes. I am a little concerned about this, lost child NPC.
I'm pretty sure I know who that is.
I got a couple different vibes, but it's definitely one of those things where I'm like, we pick up this character and I'm just like, yes, this is perfectly normal. I do like that we bring Okitan as long, though, because I like how she contributes to the squad. But we got a few things going on there. And then we run into Sen no Rikyu.
Oh, I love Sen no Rikyu.
Yeah, Rikyu's great. Again, really doing that berserker thing without just talking in black boxes. I think people may forget that Rikyu is a berserker, but no. This is I'm pretty sure this is why Rikyu is a berserker. Is just their obsession with tea and or money is just everything. Also,
some of those expressions, choice, straight to the heart, in both the good and the bad way. No, but also, I love Rikyu's kind of like deadpan humor.
Yeah,
like
well, go ahead.
In the first battle when you can use her, if you have her in the front line, it just has she gets a buff called Rikyu Super Mad, and I'm just like, I can just imagine her just saying that in a deadpan voice, especially because like that's how she does some of her attacks, just Rikyu punch and stuff. Just,
yes. But also I want to say, like, I think that that kind of, deadpan snarkiness follows, because, like, we've talked a little about actual, like, Sen no Rikyu and stuff, and like I said, I did do the Wanted, which you should check out, as well. I know it's not, like I said, not as hot, because it's not as appealing, as, characters who are super meta threats and also, big titty dragon ladies, but, you gotta appreciate the classics. But, like, Sen no Rikyu is a character who, like, all of their famous shit happened when he was already in, like, his 50s. He died by being forced to commit seppuku at, like, age 70. Also want to throw this out there, that's how important this guy was. As far as we can tell, Rikyu was just from a pretty normal merchant family who probably sold tea or cookware or like, ceramics, or were in the warehouse business, I think is what I saw some sources saying. And just, like, we're a big enough deal that, like, Hideyoshi felt the need to request his seppuku and not just, I'm going to have you run over by a horse. That's how big deal this guy is. But almost all of our legends about Rikyu are from when he was an old man, and it's, I think that truly fits, the kind of, like, level of character of just being like, yes, we're here to do business. Give me I'm going to fix the tea. I want everybody to have nice tea, but also I like to get paid. And I will say that's something I did not see any immediate, like, super big sources on, is kind of like, I don't know if that's just like a character note or if it's like there are specific historical sources they're pulling from, like a particular, like, narrative about Rikyu being, an arms dealer or selling to both sides during the conflict. But I do know that this was a historical fact. I did find that while being tea master for Oda Nobunaga, which is where Rikyu got his start, he did receive a personal letter from Nobunaga for help in quelling some rebels, and I think it suggested that Sen no Rikyu may have hired some mercenaries or assassins to take care of some guys. So, like, not crazy. I do find it also very funny. I greatly appreciate. I'm kind of sad there's no graphics for it, but how are we going to get around on all these islands? Oh, don't worry, the tea house flies. How does the tea house fly? It's powered by money.
Welcome to the Go-Cha! No go, no you.
No, it's great. I also love just the frickin' the vending machines of tea put outside.
Hey, let it not be said that Sen no Rikyu was afraid of innovation.
Well, no, and I considering how much he did to actually, like, revolutionize the tea ceremony scene,
yeah,
I would think so. Like I said, I talk about this in the Wanted, but you may see the jokes about, like, wabi sabi and wabi cha and stuff like that. But, like, Sen no Rikyu was at some point, like, studied as a Zen Buddhist monk, and the style of tea ceremony and especially the tea wear is very, I guess, how I phrased it in the one and how I would phrase it here is very simplified, rustic, but authentic.
Yeah.
Like, Sennorikyu is the reason why a lot of traditional Japanese teacups have that kind of, like, rough, worn look, because the idea is not to create a perfect teacup, because reality is inherently imperfect, man. And there's no point in venerating this teacup because it's a teacup. It will break one day, or be thrown away, or be lost, Very zen. So, like, absolutely no, I totally buy Sennorikyu being like, oh yeah, I put vending machines out front. I don't want to bother with people. Similarly, I think Rikyu's very blasé, talk about just being like, What's that? I'm a small girl now? Who cares? Drink your tea.
Nah, I love it. We haven't got to the reasons for said things yet. Well, I haven't anyway. But there is more going on. I am excited to get to it.
Yeah. I did not get into that in the Wanted and said that we could probably talk about that later in the podcast.
Probably next will be... I think everything will be out by next week.
Yes. The time gates should be done because it'll be over a full week after. You can access the epilogue and everything. Well, you're asking about Civ, and I have to admit that I'm fucking tired. I'm eepy. I'm sorry.
Hey, if you're eepy, you're eepy, but... me, Aaron, and Law were talking yesterday because, we've been deep in the Warframe hole, but we're like, no, we gotta make sure, like, it's Friday. We gotta make sure we set some time for Civ. We can't be all Warframe all the time.
Well, I know yesterday, two completely diverged topics. I know yesterday you asked, and I was like, no, I'm not quite jonesing for Civ. I'm heavy in the 14 right now.
Yeah.
Which I
have.
One
of those
I
things.
Have been cleaning up a lot of stuff. We're having a lot of fun in 14. Well, on stream, maybe not so much fun as we get beat up by savages, but we'll make it work. But me personally,
getting beat up by unsynced savages, that's the double shame.
I mean, I feel like Stormblood a little bit, but definitely Shadowbringers. I feel like some of the savage mechanics are designed to just be like, I don't care if you're unsynced, fuck you. Like,
kinda, yeah.
Like we've reached the point where it's like, that's cool. You're like 20 levels over this content. Anyway, twice come ruin. You're dead. You have an incurable doom. In 5 seconds, you're gonna die, perish. That one we probably can at least damage boost. I know I was a little skeptical, but later when Alter came back and said, "Oh yeah, we had 2 Pictos in our group," and I'm like, okay, I get it now. That's how they damage boosted through this. Although actually, this is an aside. A very interesting bit of news that I think has been publicly circulating today. That apparently some of the passive traits for Scholar Summoner are bugged.
Apparently they haven't been giving the potency increase like they're supposed to.
Which is still very interesting because, like, some people are like, because I believe they announced today they're not going to fix it until 7.1 is the plan currently.
Well, yeah, because we're still able to do content as Summoner Scholar.
Yeah, so, like, I know some people are like, this is crazy that you're not fixing this until 7.1, but also, like, Lucky is, like, the most Summoner main I know, and, like, I don't think I heard you complain about doing content at all in Dawn Trail.
No, I have complained that I haven't been able to keep up with some other players, but I just chalk that up to, me being suboptimal in my rotation. And, maybe, like, because people were talking about a long time about how, like, Picto and, other things, be fucking schmoovin'. So no, I don't think it's, like, necessarily bad. I am curious to know how they figured this out, though.
Yeah, I assume just some maths. I did see some tweets and stuff where some people were like, oh, this was, like, reported as early as the early access. It's just that they did not format it as, like, a normal bug report, so it got kind of, like, lost in the shuffle. And they did not, like, catch up to it. But yeah, I'm gonna assume it's probably, like, even without just straight up using DPS tracking mods, because that might get you in trouble. I don't know the exact, like, math to calculate damage formulas, but I bet there are people who know, like, how to look at, like, say, how much potency an attack has combined with, like, your damage dealing stats as a class and figure out how much damage you're supposed to be dealing, and then be like, wait a minute, that math's not right. Yeah, no, like, also haven't heard any complaints about Scholar healers in the mix, so it's like, it's one of those things where, like, it seems like just the way the eye level and the stat spread works at level 100, it doesn't actually matter, and will possibly mean that if you thought Scholar and Summoner are fine right now, when we actually get this patch, they may be real good. Okay.
Yay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, no, I'm thinking about it. I don't think of any classes that I actively play that really need, like, any crazy buffification. Like, I do kind of, like I've always said, I kind of...
Excuse me. Thank you.
I kind of feel like Paladin needs some, like, streamlining of its buttons because they've got so many fucking buttons. But just today, actually, I leveled Paladin to 100 and finished the tank role quests for Dawn Trail. And I'm like, actually, no, when I get in the flow, I understand it. It's just it requires slightly more brain power than my other tanks do because there's slightly more buttons. But, like, yeah, we're in a good place. But we mentioned this on stream, but we'll find out more about 7.1, I'm sure, later this month at
Tokyo
the
Game Show.
Tokyo Game Show. Tokyo Game Show is going to be a banger.
It is.
But yes, let's wrap up some thoughts on new GudaGuda. Sorry, I lost my words there for a second. But yeah, all in all, very good vibes to the event, like all the NPCs. We talked about him a little before, but I think Ishida makes a really good antagonist for this because, as Nobu observes, he's kind of got to stick up his ass about everything, and it's just like, yeah, no, makes him a good antagonist, but also he has a sense of like decency,
sense of the rules.
Yeah,
his rules specifically.
Yes. But no, like with the glasses and the jacket, you absolutely feel that this guy is a rules lawyer, and it works out. I'm sure it'll all get laid out in the end. I still am not sure what the fuck Yaminami is doing. I think it's cool that we're like using his like ninja ass ascension a lot, but like stuff's going on with that guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do actually have some resolution in the latest story drop. Good. Like I said, I'm not sure what's going on with him, but we'll catch up. I will say that, like I said, I am sad that we are once again denied, like we are once again paid lip service to Lady Yodogiri, but also we're denied.
Yeah.
Like straight up, she starts having a like berserker, possibly into Avenger freakout.
And then it was stopped, and you're like, no.
Yeah. Mori has to, I think, actually, like, I was gonna say smack her on the head, but I think, like, actually, like, stab her to get her to calm down, because she's gonna go full freak out. And like I said, Kagetora straight up says, oh yeah, she was about to change Spirit Origin, and like I said, I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time.
I was like, why? Why not? This is what we want! Cha-Cha's cute, but also I want sexy Cha-Cha. Give. I mean,
maybe not in the Stormborder Bridge, I guess? I don't know. She might have blown some stuff up, but, like, still. I think there's some...
I want Lady Yodogiri and, like, the Frederick de Grosse and Azure Link just constantly calling the master my child.
Be a good fight.
I'm like, mommy.
Yeah, no. We like I said, we've played a little around with it. I think they know that that's, like, a thing they can do, but they have not actually, like, pulled that trigger yet. And we don't got a lot of GudaGuda events left if we're gonna do that trigger pull. Because, the plan is to wrap up Ordeal Call, next year. And I'm presuming even if they, like, don't end up doing a continuation story, which Nasu has said is going to depend heavily on, like, how the audience feels about the end of Part 2 and, like, what they want out of it. Obviously, like, I've mentioned this before, FGO in some fashion will continue. It just might switch to an FGO2 and then kind of we start from scratch again. But I feel like money printing wise, Lasangle's not gonna just drop it or anything, but
no,
they gotta work with the partners. So I imagine that the game will stick around for a while before they announce an end of service to maybe do some run some polls, do some reruns, possibly even let the writers write out some more event scripts that they haven't used yet, kind of a thing. Just because I don't know, if they're gonna get everything done cleanly in a year and a bit. But
I don't know. I think I would like for them the chance just to start writing just a bunch of little interludes for characters and stuff. I would like that. Yeah. I love interludes.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I feel like gets utilized a little less since they started just attaching random rank ups to event drops.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. I think there's opportunity even if the game is not continuing a primary story type updates that FGO may stick around for a bit anyway before they announce their closing up shop. But yeah, I don't know how many more GudaGuda events we got in the tank then, but hopefully we do get a Lady Yodogiri hit. I do kind of feel like I'm hopeful the Japanese fan base is as hungry for it as we are, but I do kind of feel like Takeuchi, especially as part of the Type Moon team, and some Nasu as well, are definitely dedicated to hey, some people have been waiting for some stuff for a very long time. We're gonna give it to him, and we gotta give it to him, kind of big and loud too. Obviously, talking about why Summer Aresh, for instance, Space Aresh is so intense and over the top. Takeuchi straight up said, I feel like we made people wait too long for a Summer Aresh. We had to go even further beyond.
Oh wait, how did they?
Oh yeah, and we keep going with all this other weird nonsense. But yeah, no, GudaGuda, good, thumbs up.
Good. Probably will be playing it on and off as the day goes on.
Yeah, I'll probably try and catch up to my stuff because like I said, I'm low energy, not been feeling as well, so I'll probably sit down, drink plenty of water, continue to watch Metal Gear Solid 5 Let's Plays, and grind more, make more tea.
More tea.
But anything else you want to say about the Gudas of Gudas?
No, like I think we've said enough. Like, I think we're getting really good. Yeah, it's for good first impressions. We've like the usual crew is there, but we didn't overburden ourselves because we got a lot of GudaGuda characters. We really do. I am slightly sad that we still don't get more Cha-Cha. It seems like Cha-Cha's job is to basically be a mom to Okita Alter and send her off with snacks, which was a little weird. Not to mention really everyone else is just kind of chilling back at bait. It is important. It is very important. But listen, I want more Cha-Cha. All right.
Yeah. No, it's. I'm kind of glad that everybody has their roles, but also it is kind of like the. I feel like for our side of NPCs, we went with a very minimalist setup. Mm-hmm. You know, we only sent a small crew and kind of like immediately lost communication with Kaldea, so we could have a more simplified story, but still pretty solid.
I mean, having like less character does mean that we can focus on character interactions a bit more. Like we're getting a lot of like Nobunaga talking, getting a lot of Okita talking.
Yeah, and they haven't been a focus for a while. Actually, that does remind me of something I was going to bring up earlier. That is I want to say, speaking of writing, like obviously, the GudaGudas aren't always as like super hype story wise, but there is a very good sequence in this one that I really like, where the team is kind of dealing with these like curses of resentment, right?
Oh yeah,
and Okita and Nobunaga like both go under for it, and we get to see what it's like from their perspective, and they're just taking it. I mean, Nobu is in her Avenger form, so it makes sense, but like that totally makes sense from a story perspective for people to be like, what's that? Everybody's betrayed me? Good! Cool! Get some! And I actually saw on Twitter, some people were very surprised by Okita's side of this, that like her straight up saying, oh, you died and I didn't? Well, it's because you're weak. But like, no, Okita's very nice and friendly with us, because, like, I feel like for her, Kaldea is, like, a permanent vacation, but, like, Okita has historically been treated as, like, a very serious person, and when she's in side materials, like Redline and stuff, like, Okita is a stone-cold killer, y'all.
Yeah, no, you gotta remember, GudaGuda is their joke half.
Yeah.
But they are willing to just every once in a while be like, no, they're actually very scary people.
Yeah, no, and, like, both historically and also in a lot of media, like, Okita Soji is treated as like, nah, he was part of the Manslayers Club. He's a serious guy who, and like I said, Okita gets to kind of cut loose and not like think about that kind of stuff in GudaGuda usually, but I definitely like that moment of like trying to come back, and like, curses and resentment, and Okita's just like, nah, man, whatever. And then, Yaminami shows up in the dream, and Okita's just like, too bad, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Also, I mean, I think it says everything when I remind people that in the Like a Dragon Ishin timeline, they have Okita visually played by Goro Majima.
There's a reason for that, but also...
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that, yeah. I mean, we do a lot of that stuff, but, like, definitely, like, there was a reason why they picked those character parallels. Y'all need to think about that one too hard. So, yeah, no, like I said, some people were surprised on Twitter, and I saw some other people being, yeah, no, that's when Okita puts her game face on.
When can we get the Redline Golden Week collab?
That'd be pretty cool. Redline, I haven't seen a lot of it, but it's pretty neato. It's I mean, you could argue we kind of have already, because we've gotten a lot of the GudaGuda story elements already, which Redline is kind of like a remix of the classic GudaGuda ideas, but it is also doing its own thing, so... Yeah, no, Nobu also has game face. That, at least, is something that FGO has been very consistent at portraying, that, like, hey, there's a reason why Oda Nobunaga was known as both the Fool of Owari and then the Demon King of the Sixth Heaven, Like, Nobunaga was kind of a chaotic, jokesy guy that people didn't take seriously right up until he almost unified all of Japan. And they were like, oh shit, this guy's real. But I wouldn't mind more like Redline style callbacks because it's cool. And like as you mentioned with like Hideyoshi and stuff, there are still a couple of GudaGuda classic characters who haven't actually been like brought up. Maxwell's Demon's still not playable. Poor guy. But yes, so I just remembered earlier I referenced that scene. I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. But yes, I like the characterization, I like the story beats, and I'm excited to see where things go on from here. But also, I'm not. I'm like we were saying earlier. I'm not in a super rush to get it done.
No, it's not like I mean, and there's a point grind too, so it's not like you can just bounce from story to story. But it's definitely like I'm not like hanging on every word to catch every new installment. But what I'm reading is good. Thumbs you up.
Thumbs up.
Well, before I get too incoherent, let's do the what's up part and talk about a couple things because it's been an interesting week of news, especially when it comes to video games, which is what we normally talk about in this section. We also talk about other stuff. I know some people thinking about anime and manga recommendations as usual, but very interesting week there. So I think the earliest bit of news starting was that Sony and Firewalk Studios announced straight up they're turning off Concord, and in fact, as of this recording, it's donezo. The servers are off.
Yep, servers are off.
And that's like a very interesting, I guess, kind of like whole roller coaster, really. So
yeah, I could call it that. Yeah,
obviously, I think Concord was kind of a victim of its own lengthy dev time. It's been suggested, I believe, that the game has been in development in some form for like 8 years.
That was 6.
Yeah, I think the actual like the Firewalk studio was spun off and was existing for probably about 6 years. And to be fair, this graphic says 8 years. Some of that's probably technically like pre-pro. The interesting thing is that Sony only got involved like in the last like few years. I think they said in 2021 that like Sony and Bungie were like working with them, and the studio was only acquired as a PlayStation studio last year. So obviously, like I think it is fair to say that it is technically Sony's flop. They are a first party studio that were bought presumably on the projected merits of this project, and because Firewalk was a lot of ex Bungie and Activision developers, but still it's kind of a weird spot. So I don't think that like I mean I'm surprised that they went straight up to they're just gonna turn off the servers. Honestly, I was waiting for the inevitable free to play, put it on PS Plus, for a month kind of thing.
No, I personally think they made the right choice here. That they saw something, they realized it wasn't working, and instead of trying to do this very complicated and expensive try to save it project, they just turned it off. Just cut their losses.
That's happened a couple times. Like I know EA did that with Anthem, right? But that was after the game was out for like a year, and they were just like, "Nah, this is not cooking."
Yeah, no. So like, I commend the decisive action, and they might not be like fully done with Concord. Like they have all those assets. They might try to do something different with it.
Yeah. So that I think is the really interesting thing about it. Like, I agree with you. I think it was rather than do just the FT free to play drop. Like I think they realized this thing didn't even have the legs for that. It had an abysmal player count like on Steam. It had a really bad player count when they had a free beta weekend, and it's really interesting. So obviously, some of your favorite culture warriors are out here talking about go woke, go broke. Never mind that quote unquote woke video games are some of the best sellers of the past couple of years. Hey, Baldur's Gate 3 just got a huge patch. But like, I don't think that was it, because what like even in the midst of like much more controversial like culture war bullshit, other games were at least financially successful. Like Hogwarts Legacy happened. I'm pretty sure they eventually made their money back on that one. Like it had decent sales and reviews, but not like it wasn't be doing like crazy enough for I think it to like end up winning any awards or anything. But it was able to ride it out. like, honestly, I think goes back to a problem I think I've noticed with a lot of the things Sony does with their kind of, like, smaller, like, maybe, like, AA type multiplayer titles. Like, we probably should have been concerned, and I think the part of the reason why I did not get those player counts, I know for a fact it's even though you and I both saw, like, the story and gameplay trailers and were like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like, it's still, like, a hero shooter, like a 5v5, but there seems to be a lot of work between matches to, like, actually flesh out these characters and give it a world, right? That's interesting. Right. I like that. I didn't try the closed beta. I wasn't going to buy this game because they were selling it to you at $40, which obviously not a huge amount of money for a game these days, but definitely enough where, like, I was like, I don't know if I want to, jump on this right away.
Yeah, that's definitely a kind of a wait and see kind of thing.
Like, I do want to admit, this strategy worked with Helldivers. Helldivers 2, $40 start point, $60 if you want to go the extra edition. It, took the world by storm for about a month, and even, I think, had, like, really good, like, tail end for those first few months, even after the like, PSN debacle, and, like, has only just now, I think, kind of, like, over the past, like, several months, we've reached kind of a peaking point where just, like, the fact that I do think the game's popularity exceeded its dev size, and is kind of, like, caught up. But even then, they're still, have a big player base, have a lot of invested developers, and are, have a proven product. And actually, I believe in the middle of next week should be the first of their big wave of balance patches. They did actually, like, outline on a Steam news article what Helldivers 2 is doing, which is, and some of this we've all heard before, but if it's actually true, they're talking about, like, they did a systematic look at, like, every weapon and stratagem in the game and all their enemies and, like, trying to hit that balance point of, like, okay, so does this thing do what this thing should do in a video game? They keep talking about, the fantasy of the weapons, the player thought of enjoyment for this. But where does it stack up in the wider game world? So I'm very interested in seeing how this works. They also talk a lot about, rebalancing the armor and effectiveness of enemies. So please, for the love of God, just cure me of this plague of chargers. That's all I want. But, like, they're working, okay? They're plugging away. Concord didn't even get a chance to plug because I don't think enough people started playing it in the first place, because Helldivers 2 was a sequel to a game that was smaller, but I think well-liked. Oh, don't put that evil on me, Robin. And I also think that, I mean, if you want to talk about, I don't think that was the sole reason, but you want to talk about, like, marketing. Helldivers 2 has a lot of marketing and a lot of story focus that is satirical and also went over some people's heads. But in general, taking it from a satirical standpoint was a lot more funny, a lot more loosey-goosey, and thus a lot easier. It was a lot easier for people to get into shouting, "For Super Earth!" Like, the marketing practically wrote it itself. I saw some trailers and I liked what I saw, but I don't think that Concord had enough of that shit, right? It wasn't graspable. The character designs were honestly fairly watered down. They had a few that I think were a little more, interesting, but some were very bland. I've heard a lot of people good?
They're playing it very safe.
Yes, and actually that's what I've heard some people, like, saying on Twitter and stuff of, like, people talking about how, like, their heart goes out to the concept artists and designers who probably had a lot spicier designs and, like, a lot more, like, unique stuff, but after, like, 8 years of dev time, probably got watered down through committee because the team didn't want to go too crazy. And, like, say what you will about, like, the state of the game. I literally saw some people on Reddit, discussing the shutting of Concord, of being like, well, the game didn't succeed because it's supposed to be an Overwatch competitor when, people who, are playing Overwatch 2 aren't going to spend $40 to jump a game, and, somebody in the comments, follow up was like, case in point, we who are still playing Overwatch 2 are not having fun playing Overwatch 2. Like, even though I think OW2 is in that state, Blizzard still had a very specific art style. I mean, I guess you can say that, like, Overwatch's art style is kind of like Pixar coded, but not quite. Like, I think there are some similarities, but it kind of had its own unique art style. A lot of people said correctly that Concord was kind of, budget Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think was the point, but also is very much not distinct.
Yeah.
And as far as I got, people said, well, the gameplay was fine, but it was just like Destiny 2 gameplay, but 5v5 hero shooter, Which, again, makes sense from the team, and I'm sure it would play very clean, but it really felt like Concord was lacking that spark of a game, and so it'll be really interesting to see if they can make something work, because, hey, as everybody has brought up, Concord is still scheduled to have an episode in Secret Level.
Like, honestly, what I think they should do is they should pivot away from the multiplayer focus and just make it a single player or co-op focus, just narrative of was it FPS?
Yeah, it's first person.
Yeah, FPS, which I think would probably get a lot more people.
Also, honestly, would be a lot less of a saturated market than trying to make an Overwatch clone. Like, genuinely, I think the people are in a state to yearn for first-person games with a tight story. Sometimes COD has good single-player campaigns. Sometimes it does not.
Most CODs I've played have a good single-player. Sometimes they got a stick up their ass about some things, but generally I like them.
Yeah, I think generally people have been more positive. I mean, there's something to be said for, like, the remaking of the Modern Warfare trilogy, but, like, I think people like those,
Yeah.
And obviously the original Modern Warfare, games are very iconic. Some of the Black Ops games have very good narratives. Some of them are not as much. Which one did I play for free on PlayStation Plus? I think it was Black Ops 3, where the game starts without the tutorial. Evil robot soldier kicks off all your arms and legs so you can become an exosuit man or woman.
See, this is why you gotta start with Black Ops 1, because Black Ops 1 was the shit.
Yes,
also, the memes.
No, yeah, that one was very solid. But like, they're making 6 Black Ops games. They can't all be winners.
Actually, I think with the latest Black Ops, they're kind of going back.
Yeah, like that one actually maybe we'll see. I'm not in any rush to support COD right now, but if they got the goods, they got the goods. I believe 6's multiplayer is in like open beta stage, and so there's going to be some early reviews. So I think they're doing okay. It's just we're in a weird spot. I'm trying to remember some of the other spinoffs. Like, was it Call of Duty Ghosts? I think Ghosts had a weird storyline. I don't remember if people liked Infinite Warfare, even though that was the space one.
Space,
because we tried going to space and stuff. COD's been all over the place, but like Halo Infinite's kind of in a space where people, what I've heard anyway from people who like play Halo classically or want to play Halo type games, Halo Infinite is a little unfulfilling. Like, the single player campaign's not awful, but they did kind of go to like an open world type setup, and they have not really paid that off in future content updates. Like, they haven't been doing any kind of like single player focused stuff, and the multiplayer like balance and content updates are kind of all over the place as far as like people report to me anyway. So like, I think we're genuinely in a room where like proper first person, like story driven games would work. There used to be a lot of those. I mean, a lot of them were kind of like corny or bad, but like that was kind of the defining game type of, I want to say, 7th gen. Like the 360 and PS3 era was like, hey, here's our first-person dirt brown, smeary FPS game. It has a campaign and a multiplayer.
I mean, for the PS3, that was Resistance.
And Killzone.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
the
Killzone.
First Killzone was on, I think, on PS2, but like, most people remember Killzone 2 and 3 best. And yeah, no, PlayStation has those franchises. I mean, and I know, like I said, talking about those gaps, as much as we've bemoaned it, Lucky, personally, EA did, I believe, pass on greenlighting Titanfall 3 so far.
Rude.
I know. But Apex is, like, printing them free money, and also I joked about this earlier in our games chat, but I think Respawn is the only EA studio. Sorry, Motive. I liked Squadrons, but it was definitely a very compact game. I think it was like $20 or $30, so it made sense, but you know what I mean. Respawn was somehow the only EA-owned studio to actually crack the fucking Star Wars license that they paid so much money for exclusivity and lost, because they tried to make Battlefront and Battlefront 2 FIFA and not literally Battlefield but Star Wars. Seriously, guys. I mean, if I guess if like Lucasfilm Arts or Disney wanted to fight you on whether or not you can, put attachments on Star Wars guns, you should have told them that's the way to make the game. Let me greeble out a blaster.
Honestly, consider that blasters are just greeble together things. They should have let it go.
No, I mean, a blaster is already usually a real-life firearm prop that they then, stuck some pipe cleaners or radiators to, and we love them for it.
Yes.
Han Solo's, big shoot gun is literally a broom-handled Mauser with, like, an extra, like, muffler on the end, which is great. No, that's the kind of shit you should bring, but no, I think they leaned way too heavily into arcade shooters because they wanted to, like, appeal to quote-unquote casuals, but at least for Battlefront 2, the problem was they couldn't appeal to quote-unquote casuals because they had a fucking monetization scheme literally straight out of FIFA.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. If you want to appeal to casuals, I don't think you appeal to casuals through multiplayer. Like, honestly.
And they tried with Battlefront 2 to have a storyline, but that was Lucasfilm's fuck up. The Battlefront 2 storyline is so kind of, like, watered down and do nothing because they would not allow EA to get a look at the, like, plot and script of Last Jedi ahead of time. So, like, their thoughts of, like, oh, this will be the lead into Last Jedi. We're going to explain to you the origins of the First Order. They couldn't actually do that because they didn't have any inside intel, which is also dumb, by the way.
Also, I'm gonna be real. It's probably because they didn't actually have a script. I'll fucking say it.
I mean, that is my cynical joke I like to make sometimes out loud, is that, well, of course they couldn't give them any extra material. They didn't know what the fuck the movie was going to be yet. They keep switching directors. But also, like, is a big, like, missed opportunity for them. I didn't actually get a chance to get my hands on it that early, but I remember back in the day, the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith PS2 game came out, like, a couple weeks before the movie and had the whole shebang in there. Yeah, no, it was a little before the movie, yes.
Oh, wow. I don't remember
also,
that.
by the way, talking about good Star Wars games, good-ass game for, like, a normal hack-and-slash game, had a pretty tight multiplayer for, like, lightsaber duels. Also had something that was, I think, kind of ambitious for the time. They had an alternate ending, where you could replay the final boss battle as Anakin and kill Obi-Wan and also Palps.
Wow.
Yeah, you defeat Obi-Wan, Anakin actually, did not underestimate his power and succeeds on the jump, and then Palpatine shows up and he's like, Good. Here is your new lightsaber, and hands him, like, the Darth Vader red lightsaber, and Darth Vader Anakin just goes, interesting, stab. I'm the Emperor now. Any complaints? And the clones are just like, nope, you're good, fam.
Just thinking about good old Star Wars games. Force Unleashed was good. I liked Force Unleashed. It was really
Force Unleashed 2, I think, suffered from a compressed, like, dev cycle. It was very short, but the original Force Unleashed was, like, for what they were doing at the time, very good. Yes, no, and also it has Sam Witwer in it, who's great.
It was a great prequel story.
Yes. No, that game is very solid. Star Wars Bounty Hunter is a very, very solid game that I think they also have put out some like a PS5 remaster of. That's a game I played a lot as a kid, but I'm wary about streaming it because I would have to, like, mute all the music, which would take out a lot of the vibes. But also, man, it's full Star Wars music, y'all. I don't know.
That reminds me, I have to check up on Outlaws because I heard people say it goo.
I think there were some bugs, but I think people also said it was pretty all right. I think it's got like a fairly median score on Metacritic. Let me check. Nope, don't open Windows Explorer. Like, I don't think it was the blowing out anybody's like expectations, but also I think it's generally favorable.
I mean, I think that's blowing out. People give Ubisoft a lot of shit.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of shit. Some of it well-deserved, some of it not, but the fact that it is there is a thing. So, considering that they were able to put out a pretty good game and that most people can agree is a pretty okay game, despite all that, I think it's a win in their books.
People are also specifically saying it's an open-world stealth game, so I'm like, wait, shit, is this just Star Wars Metal Gear Solid 5?
I may need that in my life.
I'd have to look at some gameplay footage to confirm, but I could go for that. So yeah, we'll think about that one. Not crazy good reviews, but also, like, Robin's literally saying in Patreon chat, Ubisoft should be beloved, but they keep Ubisofting it up. Yeah, no, they unfortunately shoot themselves in the foot a lot. They've got a lot of great IP. They've done some very, like, iconic things in the terms of open world game design and lots of other product, but I think sometimes they have a little too fast on the regular release schedule. Like, Assassin's Creed is a franchise that definitely suffered from them trying to release one every year. and thankfully they did back off from that one.
Oh shit, we're only like a couple months away from Shadows. I should get back on my Creed grind.
So yeah, like it's an interesting space there, but yeah, I'll have to, like I said, check out some footage maybe and see if I'm down for Outlaws as well. But yeah, Concord is a really interesting case. Like we can't. A lot of people in terms of like movies like to argue about like, oh, was this, or even albums, oh, was this a flop? Was that a flop? You know, and like I think we can safely say Concord flop.
Yeah, flopped.
It didn't, last hardly a month. It's
2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah. It had a $40 price point that not a lot of people bought. It cost God knows how long to actually like make. Like how much money it cost them. I mean, it certainly put Sony in the hole when they bought the studio. So like, yeah. I mean, we'll see, I guess. But that's a flop.
Yeah, but all things are balanced.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Yes, because Astrobot, which was I think fairly highly anticipated. People were very happy to see it. This little platformer game from Team Asobi. With a lot of like classic send up to PlayStation titles and stuff. But now we are like reviews are out, the game is out, and it's scored phenomenally high. I'm looking at it. It has a 94 on Metacritic. It is classified as a must-play. It is one of the highest-rated games of the year. I think it may technically be the highest right now.
At 94, probably, yes.
Yes. And it's all green, not a yellow to be seen. The user scores have not filtered in yet because, they like the game just came out here. But, well, I expect there probably will be some yellows in there. I'm going to guess that generally vibes will be positive. It is a phenomenally well-reporting game. I think it's going to be a pretty well-selling game. And, like, yeah, I think I'm going to have to get it. I was debating with myself. I don't want to add to my backlog, but it's supposed to only be, like, a 15-hour play.
Yeah, but, like, everyone's talking about it. I wasn't going to get it, but I'm just like,
I mean, they've got
It looks fun!
Yeah, it looks fun. It looks great. A lot of people are having fun. It's got a lot of little cameos and stuff. There's a little, Robot Jack and Daxter. I think Sly's in there. Obviously, there's Mr. Robo Kratos. Like, it's a game that is a video game's video game. I think is the best way.
It's a game that celebrates PlayStation in the best possible way.
Yes. And it is a video game. It is sounds from what I've reported. Like I said, haven't tried it out myself, but it's fun to play. It does video game things. It doesn't have any there's no bullshit in there. It's just buy it, pack it, send it. And while not as super high hitting, we've also got reviews coming out for the upcoming. It is technically not all the way out, though. I think if you pre-ordered, you might have early access to it. But Space Marine 2 is coming out soon. Not as highly rated as Astrobot. It's only an 83 on Metacritic. But also, again, a very highly rated game as well. That one I'm fine waiting on, because let me double check. I think you can get there's a PS4 version of the first Space Marine you can get. I don't think I necessarily have to play the first one, but I am interested in it. But, it's really interesting to see that, we had, especially like you said, we're going from, Sony has had definitely their biggest flop of this year, possibly their biggest flop ever, into, hey, we may have just released the game of the year.
It is weird. Sony hasn't been necessarily hitting a lot of highs recently. Especially recency with Bungie kind of mishandling themselves and
yeah, it has unfortunately come out that spoilers for a video game company that's been around 20 years or more. Bungie may have had some company culture that was not super great. The CEO may have bought himself a lot of cars, and may have lied about the value of the company, which is shitty, which leads to layoffs. I know some people were kind of on Sony for doing layoffs when they were concerned with Destiny 2 and stuff after they bought the studio, and they said they wouldn't. But also, that's kind of, I mean, I know it's not the employee's fault, but that's kind of Bungie's corporate structure's fault if they misled Sony about how much value they were as a company. If you get pulled into a bad run, so that one's going to be interesting to see. I don't think Bungie is necessarily finished. Because, like, there's still a decent number of people playing, Destiny 2. Even I think if they've got kind of their, whatchamacallit, final update winding down kind of a thing. I think they still got the decent player base. They got the decent investment. Sony's kind of been with them the whole way on Destiny. But it does make me wonder about, like, what their future projects are. I am still probably, like, locked in to play the dumb new extraction shooter marathon game. I mean, that may actually be illegal, but the problem with illegality is that you have to get the DOJ involved, usually, or your local, state prosecutors, which is a whole thing. Though I will say, very interesting news out there. It's an interesting story. This is a complete aside, but it was also reported this week by an official Department of Justice indictment that some right-wing content networks on YouTube may have received a shitload of money from Russian state media.
Oh, wow.
None of them are being charged at this time, I think, because it does kind of seem like some of the actual content producers may not have been directly approached by Russian state media RT, but definitely like some of the people running some of these content groups. I think, was it Tenet Media was the one that was like suggested. The Department of Justice actually did not dob anybody out yet. They just said that in this indictment against the Russian state media, they were like, we believe that they may have moved funds into YouTube channels. A lot of fucking money, by the way. $100,000 U.S. signing bonus and a total of $400,000 for like a month's worth of content. But yeah, no, it's that one was just very funny to me to be like, wow, interesting. It seems like some of these people are literally paid Russian shills. Not that, again, like I said, unproven at this moment who knew it, which may mean that some of them saying some dumb stuff out loud is just them being dumb, but an interesting one. But yeah, that's technically an aside, but that is what, to the point about, like, misconduct at the corporate level. You do gotta actually let some people get involved, which is the problem, because the government apparatuses are usually slow and chunky. But yeah, no, video games are it's weird. Sorry, I was clicking through Metacritic to look at some titles, and I was actually kind of surprised to see Visions of Mana with a 74 in the yellow zone. It does kind of seem like it's split, slight majority of greens, lower half yellows kind of rendered out. I have heard a lot of people say very good things about it. But yeah, Astrobot really blowing up, really looking pretty good. Lots of video games are hitting, and we'll have to see. And we still got some more wild ones coming up. I believe at the end of this month, Echoes of Wisdom.
Yep.
Some very interesting stuff out there. Also, though, I do want to say, actually, because this is a thing I have seen a lot on Twitter, there was an interview posted earlier this week as well, kind of in the in-between period before, like, Astrobot reviews started breaking out, but after, like, they announced the Concord closure. The CFO of Sony Entertainment did talk about some things, and I do want to say that while I don't 100% agree with how he phrased it, the headline and the stuff that a lot of people have popped out on Twitter are, I think, technically misconstruing the point. The headline that gets pulled a lot is Sony CFO says they don't have enough new IP, or they're not doing enough with their IP, which may be true anyway, but, like, obviously a lot of people talk about how, like, what do you mean you don't have enough IP? You're sitting on so many IPs. What he actually said in the interview was something to the effect of, also talking about multimedia. He said specifically when talking about games, movies, and anime, that Sony is not currently pursuing a lot of ground-up IP. They are not launching a lot of new intellectual property, which is something they could leverage. And that I do kind of understand, because it's very expensive to develop new intellectual property, like on like a big corporate macro scale like that. But if it works, it's very rewarding. If you kind of like create something from the ground up and monetize it like that. I don't always agree that like we should be as obsessed with new IP just for the sake of it. Like, you got to have good ideas first. But it is kind of interesting to hear him say that. But like I said, I feel like that quote got taken out of context a lot, and maybe his fault for wording it so ambiguously. But a lot of people are jumping on it like, man, what you talking about? You got Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter in your pocket. But, like, honestly, I think in that interview, I'd have to double-check the phrasing, but I think he even acknowledged that because he said that what Sony is good at is bringing IP they already have to newer audiences, which is, I think, something they have been successful. I think the first Sly Cooper game's PS5 port being, like, top-selling on PlayStation Store for that month was, like, yeah, they can actually, like, bring their old stuff to a new audience, but he was talking about building something entirely new from the bottom. Which, to be fair, I do kind of agree is something that they are not, definitely game-wise, not cooking as hard on. Like, I think that's probably why they were interested in Concord, and obviously, that one didn't work out. But, yeah, it's interesting to see that kind of comments, and like I said, I wanted to double-check, and I read the interview myself, and I'm kind of like, it's kind of what he said, but also kind of not what he said. I am kind of personally holding out hope, because a lot of people have mentioned that September is I think Horizon was their last brand new IP. We talked about this in our games chat a lot. The Spider-Man IP situation is really weird, but I don't think that you can say that Sony owns that IP for sure. They definitely have the movie rights pretty locked in, I think, right now.
Yeah.
And I believe that extends to certain gaming as well with, like, Insomnia and stuff. But also, like, if somebody tries to say, Spider-Man, a Sony intellectual property, somebody should be like, you're talking smack right now. Because it is a Marvel Comics IP originally, so it's like, definitely can't be said to be their original. But yeah, I think Horizon is their last big successful new IP. And that was quite a while ago. But I do also want to point out, like, I know that Sony does have a lot of money, obviously, right? They do throw money at some stuff. But, like, in terms of, like, pure workforce, like, I double-checked. PlayStation Studios isn't actually that many studios. It's a decent... There's, like, I think there's, like, over a dozen of them. But when you look at them, like, when you look at the studios that created and have some creative control over a lot of that classic IP, and I think this is why, towards the end of his tenure, Jim Ryan and some of the other, like, Sony design was, like, they're hunting for, like, multiplayer games. Though I think, again, Concord was a misstep because 8-year dev cycle. You need shorter lines. I think they said that Astrobot was developed for way smaller budget and was developed in like 3 years. Solid stuff there. But yeah, like if you think about like all those studios, right? Like, yeah, Sucker Punch is still owned by Sony. They're working on Ghost of Tsushima 2 right now, and maybe on some other stuff. Oh yeah, Jack and Daxter, that's Naughty Dog. Those guys also produced Uncharted. You want more of those? No, I'm sorry, Neil Druckmann's got to make Last of Us Part 3. Yeah, I know, but unfortunately, monetarily, especially with the way the HBO series went. And, like, as much as people, like, bitch and moan about Last of Us Part 2, well, like I've said before previously, I don't think Last of Us Part 2 is for me personally. It also was actually critically well received and sold a shitload.
There was a bit of a smear campaign around Last of Us Part 2, which I think was kind of undeserved, but
yeah,
Neil Druckmann is still Neil Druckmanning it up. So I'm just like,
yeah,
what can you do?
Like, I think this is one of those cases where the internet likes you to present that there's two mutually exclusive options. I think Last of Us Part 2 could have been fine, actually, but also Neil Druckmann is kind of a butthole. And he is. Like, there's, like, jokes in Last of Us about, like, the mad scientist, Dr. Druck, who's, like, was accused of overworking his employees and stuff, and I'm just like, Neil, what? I don't think you can joke about that. You can't joke about crunch. Yeah, no, like I said, I personally, like, I probably still need to play Part 1, because I think that one is fairly universally beloved, but...
Yes.
Just from everything I've heard about Part 2, it sounds like it does, like, narrative follow-up stuff that I'm not a huge fan of, which is, it uses the fact that you got attached to characters in the first game to fucking beat you with the depression stick, and I'm just like, no, I don't like that cheap heat.
Do not hit me with the depression stick. I will hit you with I will not buy this stick.
Yeah, no, it's just... Yeah, I take it with a grain of salt, but, like, even Axis, like, no, I just tried to hurt the player than just, not work with you, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds right. Sadly, it sounds like Last of Us Part 2 is definitely in the, like, realistic storytelling is depressing and sad. Feel bad. And I'm like, I already feel bad. I don't need an apocalypse to let me know that the world's kind of shitty, y'all. Let me play this weird robot game instead. But yeah, no. So, like, not interested in Last of Us Part 2, but unfortunately, like I said, it was critically well acclaimed and did sell well. Like, so they're also, like I said, Druckmann does have a little bit of an ego, so they're gonna make a Part 3. Like, it's definitely going to be a thing that's going to happen. So you're not going to see any more out of that. And so we're in I think a really weird case where like a lot of people talk about like, oh man, bring back Killzone, which I'm one of them. I would first of all, Sony, I'd love to see it if you actually get your PS3 emulation and stuff working. Though, like I said, I'm pretty sure the first Killzone was actually on PS2. It was one of the old school Halo killers that didn't kill Halo. The thing that's killed Halo is what kills everything in the end, time. Sag. But no, if you're re-releasing those games and you get your PS3 emulation working, please give me a fucking Killzone trilogy bundle. I would love to rerun those games again. Because, like, those, I think, like, while very of their time, did have, I think, very, like, interesting together, like, narratives, and also did a thing I really like in FPS games, which is the single-player campaign was always giving you interesting levels, interesting enemies, and most importantly, interesting guns to use. Like, Killzone 2, I remember distinctly, there was the fucking, I think they called it a bolt gun, but it was basically a giant nail gun. You could nail guys to things. They also had a lightning gun. I think it was in Killzone 2, but it may have just been in 3. But I remember Killzone for giving me one of my favorite sidearms in video games, which was the triple-barreled sawed-off shotgun, which is where my obsession with that comes. Killzone 3 also had the green lightning radiation gun, which if you charged and shot guys with, they just turned into pink mist. Killzone 2 also had a very good video game flamethrower, chat. Very good for me to use. Very scary when the Hellgast had it. Had to get rid of those guys. So yeah, no, like there's a lot of really good stuff there that I remember of having like very solidly put together single player campaigns. And if you wanted to bring back the multiplayer component, I don't think that was terrible either. It was very old school like class-based gameplay, you know? Like you would pick like Sniper Scout and you would get perks to like scan and mark, you get a sniper rifle, that kind of stuff. You could be, medic and get, medical stuff, defib, that sort of thing. Very, very classic class-based gameplay, which you don't usually see a lot these days, but, if they wanted to, they could bring it back. But unfortunately, Guerrilla is, I'm pretty sure, deep in the tank because they need to actually finish the fucking plot of Horizon sometime. This decade, please. This decade. We've already gone over it, gone an extra decade. But Horizon is very clearly paced like a trilogy, so we need that third installment. But, I would love to see sequels to these. For now, I just kind of like, the video game preservation style to see, and so I'm, like I said, eagerly hoping that we do get a Sly 2 port this month. Mm-hmm. I will be all over that shit. Especially because having recently replayed Sly 1, Sly 2 is really where the franchise finds its feet. Like, Sly 1 is weird in a lot of places. First of all, the controls are very early PS2 when we weren't sure what the fuck we were doing with analog sticks. And, like, the dialogue stays like mostly in the same vein, but I think it's a little loosier-goosier, and the actors are not quite like bringing their A game just yet. And the character writing is all over the place. How many jokes did we make at Murray's expense in the first game? Murray, what are you doing? I'm eating a hot dog, Sly. Murray, I need you to get that key and kill that vulture. Hey, technically spoilers, I guess, but the franchise is old. But in Sly 2, Band of Thieves, all three of the main boys are playable. So, like, they actually all get to do shit, and they have slightly different gameplay mechanics. Murray firmly goes from your, lovable doofus car driver to the muscle, which is, like, a great thing. So, like, I'll be all over that if they bring that one back. But it's, like, the thing of, like, I'm hoping that Astrobot does show Sony this, but I feel like Sony really needs to make some room in their studio design for, like, single or double A type productions, games that only take a few years to produce and are not necessarily, like, full price, God of War type, hey, we rented out the mocap studio for a fucking month, to produce, this quadruple movie-length story kind of a thing. Like, produce these simpler games because, honestly, I think the reason why Sony doesn't hit up some of their old, franchises is because I think they're smart enough to realize that just labbing out your IP to a third-party studio doesn't always work. Chat, y'all remember Sly 4. And most of you, thankfully, don't remember whatever the fuck the fourth Jack and Daxter game is. Except it's technically like the fifth or sixth, because Jack X and Daxter exist, and we actually we acknowledge those. But I literally cannot remember what the subtitle of the Jack game that came after 3 was. Lost Frontier?
You got it.
Okay. I summoned up a deep... it's funny because I'm pretty sure I have not, because I don't throw any of my old video games out, I have the PS2 case and disc on my shelf behind me somewhere, so I could have hunted for it, but yeah. Even me as a child was like, man, this ain't it. I don't know about this. So I've never beaten that game, because I like, played the opening couple levels and was just kind of like, yeah, nah, this ain't it. So, like, Sony, I think, is smart to not just, like, whore out their IP, but also, if we want to get their original studios back on them, they need to not be in the tank for 5 fucking years, working on everything. And this is why I asked earlier, I'm like, hey, do we know for sure Santa Monica Studios is working on a new God of War game? The answer is no, actually. We don't know what the fuck they're doing. But they're doing something. I would expect a God of War follow-up, just because Ragnarok kind of ends with an opportunity to, like, once again, get out there and explore a wider world,
Mm-hmm.
But not a guarantee. Also, I do want to remind everybody, Bluepoint Studio is not working on your Bloodborne remaster, though the Bloodborne Copium will happen, because I saw a news article saying that there's a, Bloodborne cameo in Astrobot. I think we knew about that from the trailers, but it's confirmed in the final product. But Bluepoint is working on an original IP, not a remaster, so they're cooking on something. But yeah, so video games good? Question mark?
Video games continue to video game.
Yes. And I do think, because this is another topic we did get into a little on our in our Discord and stuff, but it is funny to me to think about and see these things about, the state of gaming where, despite the assertion that PS5 has no games, this year PlayStation has released what will presumably for the rest of at least this calendar year be exclusive 2 probable Game of the Year contenders. Like, I don't think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was, like, universal. I mean, I do believe technically its Metacritic score is universal acclaim, but, like, it's still, like, very well thought of, very intense, and is going to have a lot of people go to bat to it for legacy. But also, not everybody is down for all the side content you can do. There are a lot of, just like the original, there are a lot of mini games, some of which are kind of out of nowhere. And I think as we all expected, but Rebirth ends at the normal, one of the higher level emotional and mental fuckeries of Final Fantasy VII. And then because it's Rebirth, they made it worse. So we'll be waiting a few years. But, not everybody liked kind of how Rebirth tied up, and not everybody even agrees on what the fuck happened.
People not agreeing about Final Fantasy VII is a tale as old as fucking time. In the 1800s, people were arguing about fucking Final Fantasy VII. 100 years before it even came out. That's how long they've been arguing about this.
We're gonna find a new clay tablet of the Epic of Gilgamesh, except it's just gonna be arguing about whether or not Tifa or Aerith is better.
Yes.
No, a discourse as old as time. Truly. But yeah, so, like, that said, I think that game will still get a nom. And it is, I remember there were some comments about from, like, some streamers who were like, oh, the Game Awards are rigged if Wukong doesn't win Game of the Year. Listen, I'm sure Black Myth Wukong, very solid game. Like I said, I've heard of some, streamers of various types playing it, and they like it. But, like, if you want to go by pure numberology, it is only like it's a very respectable 84 on Metacritic. Rebirth is a 92, Astrobot's a 94. So, like, is it, like, as, open and shut as people seem to think? We'll see. So, yeah, like, but games are good. I appreciate you at least phrasing it as being a Neo-like, because I suspect that may be closer to the gameplay cleave, but also that's funny, because, I'm sure a lot of people would think of Neo as a Souls. Like,
I would fight those people, Neo is a freaking, as a Ninja Gaiden, like.
Oh, very much so, but also, like, well, okay, I don't want to be rude to some diehards. People playing the original, like, Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1 back in the day probably have heard of a Ninja Gaiden and may have played it. That sounds like the kind of thing they'd enjoy. With the newbie boom for stuff like later Dark Souls and Elden Ring and Sekiro and stuff, those people may not know what a Ninja Gaiden is. But like I said, it's a game that I think is seems like it's well put together and pretty cool. Has some PC hiccups, but what games don't these days? But I do think that we got some bigger hitters, and again, it is very funny to me that like people like to joke about how like bad off the PS5 is, has no games, etc. But like I said, so far, very very solid exclusives, which are up for probably going to be up for Game of the Year, are exclusive to PS5, at least for the time being. And I can reiterate something we said off mic on Discord. Like, I'm gonna be honest, exclusivity is, no matter what end you're on, is an annoying concept.
Yeah.
It's a kind of thing that like died down for a while, but has kind of, I think, come back to the fore. I should actually check exactly how many games were exclusive in the PS4 type gen. And like I think actually this was an interesting observation that I believe it was Axis who said this, who was like, I don't think I've heard of anybody refer to a game as PC exclusive, because like, while there are certainly games that are exclusive to PC, that is not usually how they're built. Like, people don't think of them that way, but it's true. So it's like, we tend to think of exclusivity in terms of the console war, which isn't really a war because of the way things are. I've noticed over the past couple weeks, several news articles and stuff coming out where I feel like Phil Spencer's in his apology tour type phase, talking about, admitting he's fucked up on stuff, but it may be too late, Phil. Whatever, if I want to, I'll get to play Bethesda's, Indiana Jones game on PS5. But I think that, by the way, Chad, I think that has to be the death knell on the console war, though. But yeah, a lot of indies go that way. And I mean, that's still a good thing. Like, I was actually quite surprised, especially because I played it on my Switch, because I wanted the physical version. But did you know that Hades 1 is one of the highest rated PS5 games on Metacritic?
I'm not that surprised. It's a good game.
No, it's a solid game. But it's funny to me that it still stands out. But like, no, that's like the quality of like Hades was so good that it kind of like semi-jumped the indie gap and has gone places. And I am interested in future console ports of Hades 2 once they've got that all ironed out. Once again, may probably still play that on my Switch, or hypothetical Switch 2.
Yeah, but the conversation bit came up because there are some people who are rattling their saber over Astrobot, and I got into the discussion talking about like people always screaming about putting things on PC, but we almost never hear of it the opposite way. And PC has a lot of fucking games. People don't understand PC has a lot of fucking game because it's very easy for you to put your game on a PC.
Yep.
Usually you just have to pass some sort of Steam review and you'll be like, boom, you can be on Steam. So you have a lot of games, maybe sometimes a lot of indies that are just on the Steam page that are there for people to play. To get onto a console system, you usually need a little bit more work. Usually getting in talks with, a console representative. So, I'm sorry, 1 second here. Okay, sorry.
Yes, to your point, I'm pretty sure that most people who want to dev on consoles have to like acquire software developed, SDKs and even physical dev kits from the manufacturer.
Yes. And sorry, I had to deal with Buster for a second. He was being very greedy. But with PC games, it's like there's just like so many games on there, from like the little indie shovelwares that are just clones of something else to like how many strategy games are only on the PC and nowhere else?
Oh, loads. I mean,
to be fair, I probably would not want to play them on a console. I'm gonna be real.
Oh yeah, no.
There's a lot.
That's also buttons. Fair. I'm quite frankly shocked that like Paradox actually seems to have a pretty good relationship with PlayStation.
Oh yeah,
like because like City Skylines and City Skylines 2 and Stellaris and shit, like all those have console versions. Am I gonna play Stellaris on my PS5? Probably not. No, I own it. Well, first of all, I own a lot. I don't own all the DLC, but I own a lot of DLC on the Steam version. I would not want to have to rebuy that shit. But
that is a question. But also, they literally have something called they have Stellaris Console Edition. That's literally what it's called.
Yeah, no, it's like specifically the console port. Like it is designed to be console-ified. And like I said, City Skylines and City Skylines 2 are on there. That was a big enough deal to 2K and Firaxis to lead with it when they announced Civ 7 a while back, that they were like, by the way, simultaneously released between PC and console. So like there are some out there.
But like when you think about it, like so many games get released on PC and and whatnot. I really find it weird when people are beyond all like people will get on like consoles having their own exclusive games. Like there are plenty of games on PC that will never see the light of a day on console, and no one seems to care about that. It's only when consoles get a game that's not on PC that everyone gets their fucking arms about it. It's
the sunk cost fallacy. I feel like I just say that about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Just like it's
I don't want.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I don't want to be like no, like PC games shouldn't get our console exclusives and whatnot, because I think they should. Games are meant to be enjoyed in the more ways that people have to do it, the better. But I don't want people like using this fucking I was gonna say fallacious. I don't know if that was the proper word.
Fallacious with an A.
Fallacious. This fallacious argument on why they should have it, when they damn well know that PC has way more games and none of them are going to be on the fucking console. So why the hell should why should consoles be giving up the few exclusives they have? Like, listen, consoles need to make money too.
Well, and there's always the way it was mentioned before that classically, the consoles were sold at a loss.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that's true, but like, I mean, I will say that that's, I think Robin is trying to say facetious. That's also will also be a good F word, but that's not how you spell it.
Yeah.
Also, if anybody heard me scoff there, that's because literally since we've been discussing it, I've gone to Amazon.com and I'm building my cart, and I'm like, Astrobot is so extensive that it's already like being delayed until like next Wednesday.
Wow.
But also, Amazon's price is already like they're trying to fucking clear that stock. They've already like knocked $1 off it, so we'll go for it. I'll get some other stuff. Actually, I'll get some other stuff.
Well, to be fair, you can just plug your PS5 controller into your computer. You can. It just works.
Yeah, they got the drive-outs. The drivers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're gonna charge me tax. I'll be reasonable. I was thinking about also throwing in, like I said, a PS5 copy of the System Shock remaster, which I've heard very good things about. But for some reason, I guess because it is first person, I'm like, I don't know. I would think I would prefer to comfortably play that on console, even if it is fiddly. But
people who don't have one, that makes sense. Yes. Well, that's a perfect marketing scheme. Get your PS5 controller so you can play Astrobot on the PC.
I mean, listen, they can probably try that angle. I mean, they do literally like I just found this out because I checked the list. They do literally have like one of their support studios that is a first party studio does nothing but support ports to Windows. Like they have a whole department whose job it is to work on that shit. So I am sure that they can configure the drivers to work with like Xbox or third party controllers, but they'll probably put a note, hey, works best with a DualShock. Now that I think that's necessarily a huge ask, I do believe a lot of people like DualShocks for PC. Like I think Alter plays Final Fantasy XIV on a PS5 controller on PC.
Yeah.
So like it's fairly in demand. Yeah, that's a lot more reasonable. Thank you, Tax. Arriving September 11th. Interesting. If I order in the next 27 minutes, well, shit, Amazon.
You got me.
I hate it when they do that, but yeah, we'll lock it in. There you go, Chad. I've ordered Astrobot. That's a present to myself.
Ta-da!
Later. That's okay. I'll keep plugging away at Dave the Diver, I guess, in the meantime, and playing more Final Fantasy 14. And other stuff. I've actually pulled out my disc and, like, I keep thinking to myself, like, because I'm still super heavy into Rain and world building. I'm like, I will want to play Unicorn Overlord, right? But I haven't actually, like, felt like tabbing over and breaking it out. I do want to finish that game because it's great and, like, also was very well received. Speaking of games that got high ratings, like, I recently checked the Metacritic's, like, best games of the year for the first half, and Unicorn Overlord is up there. It's a great game, but I'm also like, I don't know, I'm just not feeling the vibes. I guess it's because when I'm in my, like, I just want to relax and zone out mood, I'm either farming FGO or I'm playing Dave the Diver right now, speaking of, PS Plus games. I will say this month's PS Essentials games are interesting. I did not realize, but Harry Potter Quidditch Champions not getting super great reviews. It's a 66 on Metacritic, but it doesn't have a lot of reviews on PlayStation. But the PC is also fairly low, so like I think it's not getting a lot of plays. I did download it, but I have not played it yet because they made me agree to like 3 or 4 end user agreements, and then we're like, you'll need to create a WB Games account to view this. Please use this QR code, and I'm just like, I'm not in that much of a hurry, and I just haven't felt the need to go back. It's not a permanent hurdle, but it's definitely a thing where they're like, bust out the QR codes, and I'm like, man, can't I hit triangle to open up a web browser these days?
Also, do I really need a WB account for this?
Especially since one of your big advertisings is like single player career mode, which is probably what I'm gonna do. I don't need to play Quidditch with multiplayer. I apparently don't need to play Quidditch that bad at all, but I do have fond memories of the PlayStation 2 era Quidditch game.
I remember that one.
That one started with fucking Dearest Ire. It was pretty cool back in the day, but like I said, I'm sure it's a hurdle I will eventually, especially having seen it, having some of these like complicated reviews. I'm like, all right, well now I got to see for myself, but also like, God, do I really want to create a separate account and all that fucking bullshit? Who knows? But I'm eagerly awaiting our next batch of other PlayStation Plus games this month. But we'll lock in Astrobot. That's a good title to get into. But yes, video games, good.
You'll all be happy to know that I am installing Titanfall 2 Ultimate Edition right now. So
yeah, because we finished Mega Man X4 fully.
Yeah.
It took me 2 streams to do the 0 half, and luckily it took 2 streams to do the X half, so saw both halves.
You're doing good.
Yeah, we're cleaning up. And, we debated a little to what to get into next, and I did suggest, because I knew you would be down for it, because the last time Titanfall 2 came up in our Discord, I was like, that's a game with a very solid single player. We could stream that sometime. And then I brought it up again, on Monday, and you were like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. I'm hoping, like I said, it takes at least, maybe a couple of weeks to complete, because, like I said, I'm hoping that we'll get that Sly 2 announcement before we commit to anything crazy huge. But it is also still a good time if you're into to some other titles, various types, because the long-awaited Ace Attorney Investigations duology hit, the new HD remaster, and it's also getting very positive reviews, and people seem to be having a lot of fun. A lot of people talking up the remastered graphics. But yeah.
That's exciting. Other than that, I don't think we have very much video game news. Like I said, we're continuing to 14. I continue to Warframe. I did make a public Warframe channel thread in our Discord channel, so other people can get in. We do have a couple of Space Ninjas in our Discord, so hopefully we can get together and do some stuff. I do like doing that, but nothing much there. As always, we continue to vibrate about Rain. Did have a few maybe a little discussion here and thing about such things, specifically about our tendency to, I don't want to say faff, but maybe we get a little too involved in the RP and we don't actually spend enough time doing things.
Yeah, I know Aaron talked about like feeling conflicted because he himself is like, man, I want to do more stuff, but also we are having good roleplay.
Yeah.
Because like that's, it is a role-playing game, you want to roleplay, but Rain is definitely a system with like longer-term stuff in mind.
Like we're barely getting through like half a day at the moment, and it's like, damn.
And it's definitely one of those things where like, on the one hand, yes, I expect some of this, because, like, this is part of how, we've collaboratively set up the world, and we're doing follow-up on, like, prologue stuff a lot right now of people kind of, like, revisiting. But it's definitely one of those things where, like I know that originally when we had that moment in the, the family meeting, which is the last session that was posted, the previous session we did, I think what you were going for when you were, like, you kind of spearheaded the you go here kind of a thing. The intent was to gather information because it is one of our, ongoing plot threads about like, hey, stuff has kind of, been crappy for us the past couple of years. Is it crappy for everybody? What do people think? And the answer seems to be generally kinda. But for some characters that turned into much more of a, specific role-playing focus back and forth with a couple of things, as opposed to, they still ask the questions, but strictly speaking, the purely intel gathering part probably could have been like a roll or two.
Yeah.
And just like report on the results.
Probably could have just asked generally, hey, or shit, it could have even been a company action too. I don't know.
I mean, yes, that's another thing to bring up is to get access to your company actions. I'd have to double check like how much time is supposed to have passed. I know you rolled to be informed previously. I'm not sure it is technically a new month yet. I may call it a new month anyway, because it has been a while since you did it. But you did take a fast boat.
We did.
But I do like for you guys to be informed, too. So, like I said, I'd have to tabulate up some days. It may only have been, 3 weeks, not a full month,
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, and this is talking about the other thing on the time scale, I suspect that some of the players are not eager to dip into the company actions well, because that they are, spaced out on a per month basis. Every time you use those stats, you take a penalty. which gets worse every time you use them until the month is up. And if you
Well,
do actually zero yourselves out, you're at risk of being disbanded.
Yeah. Well, that's why we gotta be good about coming up with creative ways to get bonuses and whatnot.
Yeah. So I will say again, because some of this will be exposition that's focused around like one or two characters. I think mostly it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be Leslock and Logesh are gonna be the ones who are getting technically at the exposition site. But like honestly, I have not actually like written any new material like past that point of figuring that out. That's part of that is because part of the process of that is they are planning the festival, so they will figure out the schedule for the first day of festival anyway. So there'll be at least room on that end. But definitely like I have a couple of anchor points. Probably tomorrow and Sunday I should at least get some high-level stuff on the follow-up, because there are some interesting things I want to hit you guys with. I should make sure to do that. Just so I have the setup to handy, so I can improv the rest if needed. But, like, genuinely, because I think it's going to be a lot of exposition and people commenting and noting, and then it'll be like, hey, what are you going to do with the rest of your day? And then, hopefully, that doesn't take too long, and we can start, like, working our way through. I'm hoping the festival itself will move a little faster past some anchor points.
Yeah.
Because you guys are not going to be in as many of the events. Some of you will not be in any events at all, because I did say that I officially said the cutoff age is 20. And, I don't think that, Conrad or Enos will feel the need to jump in on every little event that's a repeat. But, like I said, hypothetically, if there are some brand new events, you guys could still come back if you wanted to show off in certain areas. But yeah,
I might do.
Good.
Yeah, but that's just going to be a roll and a move on kind of thing.
Yes, as it was in the original time. So yeah, no, it's definitely like an aspect of like we need to work out that stuff, because like I have a lot of like open-ended, plans and plots, and I still have stuff to get in there. Sorry, I saw a tweet about how apparently server side you can hide that new little weird activity bar at the top of Discord, because users can't make it go away. You can compress it, but apparently that's a server setting, so I may have to work on our server and skadoodle that. There it is. That's a really easy option. Don't display activity feed on this server. Thank you. It is. It's gone now. I have defeated the evil chat. I will say, that gave me not a scare, but I was definitely like, what the fuck is this? The first time it popped up, and I just saw like a big card of like, oh, look here, your friends. They're playing Warframe. And I'm like, cool. Why do I need a big card at the top of my user list for that? I can see that anyway. All right, cool. Great. But yeah, no. So like, Rain is a game that definitely needs some longer term stuff, and it's definitely like, I know that like, for a fact that while also due to RP stuff, Aaron hasn't done as many of his short-term goals. He has gotten at least a little bit of focus on that, but definitely his character's like long-term goals is Conrad. Can't do shit when we're in this time frame capping. Kind of the same for some of your characters' big long-term goals as well. Like goldsmithy type projects, that works on our kind of like current day-by-day time scale of like, all right, I'll plan for this, I'll do that, now I'll start making rolls. But like other shit, gonna need some time to work on some stuff.
That makes sense. But also because I like RPing as much as other people, but usually I'm just quite as fine just saying, yeah, I'm just going to say these things and do this general thing, and if I have to make a roll, yes, no, okay, we move on. So even like when I am in my like minute, god damn it, words. Minutiae. That's like, I can move swiftly on from it so we can keep it going. Because I think that's what we like need to do. Like we words. We don't need to be afraid of RPing, but we have to know when to stop the snide comments, the back and forth, the responding to everything someone says with something you have to interject for some ungodly reason. I'm looking at someone in particular for that. You know who you are, or you don't.
I mean, I know for a fact that I have in the text so people can see it. I definitely have made some jokes to Loth about like, boy, when it's your turn to RP, I hope you're this responsive. Which, to be fair, usually Loth is. He tries, but not always. I think Axe has picked up our verbal take of calling himself dumb.
Yeah, but yes, it's you, Axe. If you want me to directly say it, you have to comment to every little thing you say. Sometimes cutting off the person who was talking in the fucking first place to say it.
I think last session Axe was better about this, but I believe this was a big problem.
He still did it 4 times! I wrote it in my notes! Aaron did it twice, also, funny effect.
It does happen. I do know that was a talking point in the family meeting episode, though, which frustrated a couple of players, because Axe ended up saying something in the middle of somebody else saying something, and it it kind of spun off a new conversation.
I didn't write down who you cut off. I just have a times Axe cut off people, and I have 4 tally marks. Then I have times Aaron cut off people, 2 tally marks.
Could you say it was some? I mean, the audio will be posted soon, and like I said, I can throw it up on Patreon tonight early if people really want to see, or I can. Actually, I don't know if I can upload it. Discord apparently lowered their free upload base to 10 megabytes from 25 everywhere. I'll throw it up on Mega, but that if I'm cross-uploading it, maybe better just to post it to Patreon a little early. You can listen to all our Rain episodes in audio on our Patreon. Little as $1 a month. You can get the uploads on the YouTube when they're uploaded.
Axe, don't be nervous. Just don't freaking feel the need to interject when someone says something.
Yeah, I know. Obviously it's one of Axe's several mind goblins. We all have our own stuff and tics. Like I said, the thing that I'm trying to be more aware of and work on is the.
So do you want me to yell "shut up" at you every time you start doing it, Axe? I bet that'll make you feel better.
Yeah. Usually when I catch it, I try and like hold on and move back to the person. But sometimes whatever gets interjected is like a direct question, and usually I'm like, well, hold on, I'll respond to that. Like I said, the thing I'm trying to be more aware of that was brought up in the past couple of times is kind of I don't know what else to call it, like the NPC RP treadmill, where like you guys keep saying things in character, and sometimes out of character, but you phrase it like it's in character in front of NPCs, and they have to comment, and I'm like, okay, I like this, you guys like this, we're never going to get anywhere if we do this, because we can improv forever.
We can.
So I gotta, if I want to move on to the cool stuff, like I said, so I think the festival will hopefully flow faster from event to event. But like I said, I'm realizing now as I say it that like, I should probably prep just in case we move very fast through stuff. Ugh. But yes, we're still enjoying Rain. It's funny that we're like gonna be going 15 sessions in, and we're still. I don't think we're. Actually, no. I think we can say it's still growing pains. It's like we're not quite like still shaking things down, but it's definitely like adjusting to everybody's role in this, because it's like it's funny that I know Axe feels nervous and like I can't think of the right word for it. Axe is nervous about like people just overruling him or him being like a puppet or just bullied up because he's the leader and he feels like super responsible for everybody, but simultaneously like people are going to talk over him. But also like I feel like sometimes that is the source of some of our issues, in that he is technically the Marquess, so like when he starts saying stuff in character or even asking questions out of character, I think the other characters like give him the cachet of like, well, you got the rank and title, So it's like, I don't think he should feel so bad about that. And I do think that is something that like Lesluck's in-character assertiveness has been being increased. I mean, you say that, but there are times when you sound very concerned that you're not like contributing anything.
No, I'm pretty sure we had that talk like last session after the mic went off about how you feel like you have to be hyper competent at this. I don't know why you've all of a sudden changed your mind. Did you come to Jimas this moment?
I mean, it may be, but like, no. It's I think there are differences between feeling like being pushed around and having authority. I think we do in character for sure defer to Lesluck, and out of character, like we have said several times, like no, you wanted to be this character to be in charge, so you are in charge, and that's how it's gonna be, because we're not like fucking around. I mean, what we've done correctly is we've had like 14 successful sessions. Nobody's like actually like we've had a couple of moments where we had to be like, all right, everybody, hold on, quiet, we need to move on, or like other stuff like that. But like in general, I feel like we haven't had any like big like, all right, stop everything, hold on, we need to talk about this moments. Like I know that several of the characters we've had have moments where they're like looking back and like, oh, I think I want to talk about this, or I'm not sure how I feel about that. Kind of like working on it stuff. But like all in all, things have been very positive. But also like Axe phrase that says, "What have we done correctly so far?" But like,
wow, Axe, I'm not keeping track of any of your failures. I just move on to the next thing.
Well, and I guess you should clarify then that you don't think of Axe cutting people off as a failure necessarily, then, because you are literally keeping track of that.
Well, I thought that was a funny joke, because I was going to bring it up to him later.
Yes, it's not you're not going in there, but,
because if I was only keeping track of, Axes to do it, no, I was keeping track of everybody's, because guess what? I wasn't talking at all. Yes, Axe, because what did you say earlier? Oh yeah, you were telling me to tell you directly. So I told you directly. And it is something that gets on my nerves. That you have to be part of every conversation. That you have to be part of every conversation. That when anytime someone makes a joke, you have to add on to it, even if it is completely unfunny. That you say that you can't control it, so that we're just supposed to live with you doing this constantly and not do anything about it? So yes, it frustrates me. But guess what? I can't do anything about it, make mean-spirited jokes about it and move on. Like I said, I actually forgot about the tally mark until this came up.
I mean, I think I'm going to end this with a general statement, which is phrasing it as, what have we done correctly? We're playing a tabletop game. There is no, correct. There may not even be an incorrect. We're doing the thing. Are we still doing it? Then that's what we're doing, It's not like a thing that has to be done a right way. There's not like a yes or no answer. This is generally how I feel about, gaming in general. We're all still playing. Nobody's dead. Like I said, we haven't actually had any, huge fights or anything in session. There have been, moments in characters where I think things have gotten kind of, naturally tense, naturally dramatic. But it's, not a huge cutting point. And it's going. It is... I think there are times when we have these kinds of...
Taking the piss, that's what I was doing. I was trying to figure out what I was saying. I wasn't doing it to make this, a serious judgment of Axe's character and stuff, but it's, still something that annoys me, so I wanted to, poke it a bit. I was trying to think of the proper term for it. Me and my lack of vocabulary sometimes.
But yeah, we're still trucking, and I'd be I think that Axe or even some of the other players may think of it as oh, it's a failure if our house explodes and we all dies. But I'm technically that's not a failure. If the story was good, that's not the failure,
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's something I should be more open with to some of the players. But it's yeah, you guys don't need to necessarily worry in real life about, oh shit, I have to govern a nation of fictitious people. No. What you should care about is, are we telling an interesting story? Are we doing the character stuff we want to do? Are we seeing the moments we want to see, kind of a thing, and are we doing the things we want to do? Which I may have said before, but whatever. I'm tired. Okay, we're not playing Civ tonight. It's almost midnight. I was sleepy.
You
play Dave the Diver, and
Listen, Enos is in love with 4 women. There's no way this is gonna end well, but I don't care about that. I'm all this is entertaining and interesting.
Yeah, and it's definitely a question of just there are times when I'm kind of fucking. I mean, I don't think that many people look at you and groan.
I don't look at you and groan.
Well, first of all, we're RPing without webcam, so nobody looks at you and groans. The moment of groaning is, I think, something that is truly spread to every character. I don't think any one of the Logie lads has made it through the whole story without being somebody being what? Huh? Or just, oh no, terrible time. At most, that may be Enos, but that is because Lucky does have the capacity to shut the fuck up. It's not a universal capacity we all have. I mean, if you're I wish I don't know if you impressed me. You surprised me. I wasn't sure you were actually going to go there, but also, that's something that, that's, I think you're worrying too much about stuff if you're, what you call it, if you're trying to impress me in real life, I'm sorry, Axe, you're not gonna do that one. You might, I don't know. I could be surprised, but I'm not usually, impressed by my players, per se. There are rare times, I think, when I'm oh, wow, you really got out of the box with that one. But, I'm more, interested. I'm, thinking about, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And, sometimes you make me curious, sometimes you make me interested, and, generally that's what I'm doing. And I know, I think, to say an Axe-specific example, but this is not always all about him, there was a moment when I was, I said I was genuinely oh, it's interesting. This guy wants to figure out their sovereignty specifically. That is interesting. And you were later you were oh, well, you were coming at me, and I'm no, I'm genuinely, this is my genuine interested voice. I actually think it's interesting that you singled that one out, because I think that's an interesting part of the back and forth. And I'll admit, I am deadpan sometimes. Talking earlier about commenting about my loudness, which I think there were some parts of this which may be a little loud. I'm sorry for your ears. But some parts were quiet too. So it is what it is. But well, first of all, hey, whoa, hold on. How is Lucky's not GMing this game? How is he the make or break reaction? Come on now. I'm joking. I'm jokingly insulted. But
yeah, no, like don't use me as a judge of anything. I'm a player.
You just in it. But like commenting earlier about like thinking I'm quiet or whatever. As someone who has been told he is loud basically his entire life, like I think I am sometimes leaning more towards that deadpan side because like I don't actually want to like yell and scream. Like I don't want to like. I mean, I don't mind bursting out with laughter. That's, very genuine emotion. But I don't want to be, like, out here, like, being super loud about, like, really? Honto? Kind of a thing. Like I said, people usually tell me in real life I'm loud. So, like, I don't want to necessarily be loud and crowding the discussion. It'll happen anyway.
If I sound, like, angry and stuff, that's actually just me in my up-excited voice. Because actually, my voice is actually down here a lot. And it's very hard for me to project with this voice. Like, really hard. So I have to force my voice up a bit, and when I get excited, it goes harder. So, there's...
I can't, like, put it into words, but I think I have similar tics. Like, honestly, when I'm low energy and reserved, I am indeed, like, down here. I'm where we're at right now. This is me, like, actually, like, speaking, like, I'm actually tired. But we're doing a podcast for people to consume, so like I artificially raise my energy level a little. We project a little, and God knows, especially when we're tabletop gaming, I'm talking as me, obviously as the omniscient narrator, but also I'm talking as characters a lot, and that means I got to think about how characters do sound, not just their accents, but also their verbiage and word choice. So like there are probably times when I am not. As me, the GM, or as me as Omega, the person, emoting correctly. That's probably because I'm busy thinking about other shit. I got a lot of stuff to keep track of.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I like this is like a fault on me. But when I just get excited, or when I get to arguing, my voice just naturally starts going up. I don't know. Just call it a defensive reaction, I suppose. But I'm not intentionally trying to sound like I am, going to kill somebody. I guess.
Well, and I think we all have our moments. I know that Dallas is pretty good at kind of like hitting different emotional tones, but I do think he sounds a little more even keel most of the time because he doesn't live alone. Probably can't be super shouty yelly all the time.
Yeah.
Loth also has like his emotional beats, but like I know that like him trying to like do the like lock in and do character voice and stuff and like first person role play like that tuckers him out a little. God, no. Yeah. I was thinking the other day, actually, I was like, man, we should do some more community involvement stuff. We should, like, spin up some Jackbox sometime. But also, I'm like, we gotta be very careful about picking those games. Like, people have probably heard me genuinely mad at some of those games, too. Like, I'm like,
Yes, frustration, disappointment, no, Axe. And I'm just as equally frustrated with myself as I am with you, because I can't think of a proper solution to deal with this.
Yeah, I know. That's his secret, Captain. I know from speaking and working with him for many years. Lucky is usually just as disappointed and frustrated in himself as anybody else. Hell, that's often how. I'm also probably pretty good at holding that one inside and not letting the whatchamacallit, letting the anxiety slip out, but it's there. It's true. I do not like to be fucked with, actually.
No, you do not.
I don't know if there's like probably I should not be so spicy about it when it happens, but also it's definitely like, man, I don't know what to do about that one. I guess I just don't like to be fucked with. I don't like to be hugged either. Like, what do I do about that one in my life?
Anyway, but I think we have talked enough about this. Overall, people be people. Shit, I don't got anything else.
Nah, man, we're not great philosophers. We are just men.
No, I don't even shit.
Normal.
I'm a horrible philosopher. I'm a horrible person. How do I even people? Yes, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
You're people.
I am people.
Yes. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, no, well, why not? Sorry. That Axe did the thing, but not intentionally. He just like thought of a thing that he wanted to verbalize out loud, and I'm just like, I mean, I can tell you guys a little better. Sorry, I'm doing it. I'll end the show and then talk about it. This is the thing. Getting on this, I do level as kind of a criticism, but not a very biting one. But talking about ending shows when I'm like doing fail portrayal with Axe and stuff is like you gotta set boundaries and firmly establish the end of the show. We're doing the outro. We have nothing more to add. We've been recording for about 3 hours, and I can't lose focus. We're here to talk about things. So, hey, you're watching this video on YouTube, give us a like. Leave your comments down below. There were a couple of things that I asked you to comment about that were genuine. One, also, seriously about the volume level. Let us know if we were too loud or still too soft and stuff. And also, I guess, somebody asked about, what your hardest FGO line was. Feel free to spin those up, too. Like I said, I don't mind comments. I want them. I'll read your comments. It is time to log in FGO. It's a new day, and the sun is high. I almost started quoting Dr. Horrible. We'll leave it. Join our Discord, where you can have many of these discussions about video games, anime, and more. We've had a very lengthy discussion I didn't touch on at all in our anime and manga channel, where somebody asked a hypothetical question: do you want ninjutsu or a devil fruit? And people have been they've been chewing on that one for a while. Pun intended. Like this video. I think I said that before. But also subscribe, ring the bell, join our channel memberships. Someday you too, in 4 years, can have a cool purple badge and help support me buying Astrobot. You can also support us on Patreon. Get access to episodes early and audio formats for stuff. Get access to polls. I did put the new Fail Betrayal poll out. Yeah, but with ninjutsu, you can both swim and walk on water. I don't know what's after purple, actually. I should double check. I could stream Astrobot. I might do that as just a Thursday thing. I don't know if we want to run down, though, our normal breakout. Lucky and I are both planning on playing it in our own time, so we'll see what day it actually arrives. But Patreon, which we are at the Patreon zone, there are many benefits. And I posted the Fanservant Friday poll, I think is what I was saying. People are asking the questions in my outro. The Fail Betrayal poll will be up soon. I am still herding cats on that one. I don't remember if I said that on mic or not. But, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you guys next Tim for more Let's Talk FGO. We'll be back the following week for that. On Monday, we should be stramming Titanfall 2 and the rest of our usual streamifications. That's all I have to say. I am now going to say goodbye and good night and wrap up the episode.